Morris, who beat every team in the American League last year, won 20 games, the first Tiger pitcher to win 20 since 1973, and on the way led the American League in strikeouts. The White Sox counter with left-hander Floyd Bannister, virtually unbeatable after the All-Star game. He won 13 and lost 1. NBC Sports presents Major League Baseball Game of the Week. Today from Comiskey Park, it's the Detroit Tigers versus the Chicago White Sox. The Game of the Week is brought to you by light beer from Miller. Everything you've always wanted in a beer, and less. By Ford and your Ford dealer. Have you driven a Ford lately? By Gillette Atra Razor, the twin blade razor that pivots for a close, comfortable shave. And by Delta Faucet, we're first because we last. Comiskey Park in Chicago, and the temperature at game time a nippy 50 degrees, where it is much warmer, however, down on the field because a lot of sunshine and beautiful blue skies overhead. A light breeze out of the northwest, translating, blowing in towards home plate from back of right center field. Hi, everybody. I'm Vin Scully, along with Joe Garagiola, the Windy City in Chicago, and what a great way to break the seal on 1984.
Break the seal is right. If you're sitting in the stands and you got an infield like mine, you better get that sucker covered, I'll tell you that. But, Vin, you know, it was interesting, talking about the weather, Tony La Russa, the manager himself, talked about how he manages according to the weather, the wind, how he checks the flags, and you're going to have to watch that infield and outfield because it is heavy. The ball will be slow getting through there, so those guys will have to charge it. But we got two pretty good pitchers going.
Indeed we do. In fact, just to finish that thought, Joe, did he say that when the wind blows in, we might see a little more hit and run?
A little more hit and run because you can't wait for that big inning. You can't get those power guys to hit the ball out of here, so he plays hit and run.
Now, here comes Sparky Anderson, the Detroit Tigers. I have never seen Sparky so optimistic, and one of the reasons, I guess, is one of the oldest cliches in baseball, how strong the Tigers are up the middle.
He starts talking about it, and you can just see him just smile all over. Why not? Lance Parrish, who looks like a condominium, the shape he's in there behind the plate. At shortstop, this is an outstanding ball player, and Alan Trammell and Whitaker at second base, probably the best double play combination, I think, in baseball. And then in center field, Chet Lemon did himself quite a job last year, and he's beginning where he left off. Yesterday he had a big day.
So two of the standout ball clubs in the big league. The Chicago White Sox have won by 20, and the Detroit Tigers, who seriously think they can upend Baltimore. Well, they'll be coming up right after this.
For years now, we've been kidding Jim here about his eyesight. The fact is that Jim has the eyes of an eagle.
Thanks, Boo.
Why, he's one of the first guys to spot light beer from Miller. Saw right away that light tastes great and it's less filling.
Sure, all you have to do is read the label. It says light has 1/3 less calories than a regular beer.
I think you want this, Jim.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, no.
As I was saying, it's the same as the nose on your face.
Light beer from Miller. Everything you always wanted in a beer, and less.
Oh, I don't believe this.
I may not win every race, but I still have an advantage over these guys. I use the Gillette Atra. They don't. It has the advantage of a pivoting head. Atra is better than twin blade razors that don't pivot. See? They don't always stay on my beard, but my Atra pivots to keep both blades on my beard longer. So I get a better shave. Close, comfortable.
Get the Gillette Atra and get the Atra advantage.
Hey, everyone can use a little advantage.
I like things that last. This old car runs like a watch. My house is over 96 years old. Been married to Enid 23 years. Here's the first new thing I bought in 8 years.
9.
It's a Honda lawnmower. Overhead valve design, real durable. I bought it because it'll last. Like my dog, 12 years old. Known Fred forever. This shirt belonged to my dad.
The Honda lawnmower. It could be the last lawnmower you ever buy.
Baseball's back. Baseball fever. Catch it.
The preceding message was furnished by Major League Baseball.
Hi, I'm Sparky Anderson. I hope you're going to enjoy this afternoon's ball game. And the lineup for the Detroit Tigers will be leading off our fine second baseman, an all-star second baseman in both leagues in 1983, Lou Whitaker. Hitting second will be another fine, outstanding player in Alan Trammell. You're going to get a little tired because we've got quite a few of these good ones. Hitting third for us will be Barbero Garbe at first base, a young Cuban boy. Hitting fourth will be the best catcher in either league in Lance Parrish. Hitting fifth will be just an outstanding player in Larry Herndon. Hitting sixth will be a young man that's going to DH for us, Rod Allen. Hitting seventh will be Chester Lee Lemon, the finest center fielder in either league. Hitting eighth will be a man that you're going to enjoy watching this year, Kurt Gibson in right field. And hitting ninth, a fine defensive third baseman, Tom Brookins. And pitching, I think, the outstanding pitcher in either league, Jack Morris.
Here's the defense for the White Sox, and Tony La Russa says don't fall into the trap and think that our left side with Law and Fletcher at third and short is weak, because it is not. Cruz can make the double play. Pachoric is at first base. The catcher is Carlton Fisk. What can we say about him? You know all about him. Kittle, Rudy Law, and Baines, the outfield left to right. Pretty good ball club, Ben.
Indeed it is, and of course capped in the middle by Floyd Bannister as Sparky, winners of his first three, getting the Tigers off for its best start for Detroit since 1966. You know, Detroit last year was the last team in the major leagues to get a save out of the bullpen. And among other things, the recent trade that brought left-hander Willie Hernandez to Detroit, Joe, that seems to give him exactly the player that he needed.
He needed help in the bullpen, but I'll tell you something about Sparky. If you ever feel bad in the morning, he must take super extra-size cheer-up pills. And we look at Tony La Russa. Tony, I tell you, he looks intense, but he's just a studious kind of guy who maybe in the course of a year, I think will pick up 4 or 5 ball games by little extra things that he does.
Well, of course, Tony is an attorney, and you might think, wow, has there ever been an attorney who managed in the big leagues? And there actually have been 4. Monty Ward, Huey Jennings, and I never realized it, but Miller Huggins was an attorney who went on to manage the Yankees. And then finally, of course, Branch Rickey, who did some managerial work, and he was a lawyer as well. So we're in good hands with attorneys.
We are, and lawyers make good managers if they have good players.
Right. Here's Floyd Bannister, and what a dandy. He's only 28 years old. Bannister, among other things, owns a career strikeout ratio. He strikes out about 7 for every 9 innings. The first half of last year, a disaster. He was 3-9. And then after studying videotape of his pitching mechanics after the All-Star break, he was 13-1. And what was incredible, he struck out 124 while only walking 24 batters after the All-Star break.
I asked Dave Duncan about him, and he simply says that Bannister has great natural delivery, and if he just doesn't think about what he has to do, about getting his arm up or his leg kick or whatever, and just throw the ball, he'll be all right. In explaining, it was a mechanical problem that he had coming over here, but he also gave himself some additional pressure because he tried to be more than he was with that big bonus that he signed. And then Dave very simply said, everybody's coming up to him, telling him what's wrong. And Floyd was such a nice guy. He listened to everybody, and he got just, well, tongue-tied of the body is what he got. And when he just started to throw the ball, he started to win.
He didn't have any trouble with the fountain pen, though. He recently signed a 5-year contract for $4.5 million. So Floyd Bannister tuning up, and for Detroit, it'll be Lou Whitaker, Alan Trammell, and then Barbaro Garbey.
It didn't take Dave Duncan long to figure out how he gets into trouble. I asked Dave what he looks for that heads Bannister for trouble.
Well, Joe, when Floyd's throwing good, he gets out over his front leg, and his arm action will be down through the ball. When he starts having some problems, what happens is he gets against that front leg, and you'll see more of an arm action that comes across the ball. He cuts himself off, and it causes him to be up in the strike zone, and his breaking ball to flatten out some.
That seems like such a simple thing. If he comes down with his arm, he's fine. If he comes across, he's in trouble. Watch him on this pitch. Came right down.
Well, he will be sorely tested immediately. Let's take another look at that delivery, Joe.
Watch that arm now. If he brings it on through, he's not cutting himself off, and there it is. Look at it come around. And I'm sure that what Dave is talking about, if it's flat, it'll be above the belt buckle. A little thing like that, but that's why pitching coaches, the difference between a good one and a mediocre one.
Well, here is Lou Whitaker, and all Whitaker did last year is have 206 hits. Give you an idea, the first Tiger left-hand hitter with 200, you have to go back to Dick Wakefield over 40 years ago. Whitaker has led off 8 games in the last 2 years with a home run. So you really have to be careful of him the first time he pulls the trigger. That's the most in the American League. So here we go with Van Slaw in on the grass at third. Ball 1-0. Pashorek and Cruz, Fletcher and Van Slaw defending against the bunt. Kittle and Rudy Law and Baines in the outfield. And there's a line drive base hit to center, and we are underway. Whitaker stole 17 bases last year, so he can move it a little bit. And that'll bring up Alan Trammell. And, of course, this is one of the great 1-2 combinations in baseball, these two kids.
It certainly is that, and Sparky says he doesn't play too much hit and run with Trammell because Trammell can hit the ball to right field anytime he wants. He's been on a weight program, and this is not a puny kid. This is not, you better not kick any sand in his face. He'll let you have one. He's a strong kid, and what statistics he's put on the board. He puts a lot of crooked numbers up there.
So with Whitaker at first, nobody out, here's Alan Trammell, and we'll further substantiate the remark about what a combination they are. They hit over 300 each last year. First double play combination to do that since, ironically, Cass Michaels and Luke Appling, 2 names that mean a great deal here in Chicago. They turned it in 1949. Bannister watching with Pashorek holding a corner on Whitaker, and he missed away.
Bannister has just an average move to first base. It's not a good one. It's adequate. And when you hear a pitching coach say it's adequate, that's a euphemism for bad.
Yeah, it's a shame. You would think a left-hander is born with a good move to first. 1 ball and 1 strike. The count to Alan Trammell. Fastball foul back, and there was a little smoke on that one, so he's got a heater working today, and you need it. The batting leaders, just to refresh your memory, Boggs, Carew, and then look at that. Lou Whitaker and Alan Trammell. Trammell really fattened up against left-handers, so as he has Whitaker aboard, last year, Allen hit over 340 against left-hand pitching. 1-2 the count. Trammell had arthroscopic surgery on his left knee to repair damaged cartilage in November, but he reports he's in excellent shape. 1-2. Whitaker holds, ground ball down to shortstop. Fletcher over to second base to Cruz to first base, double play. So the Sox with Fletcher, Cruz, and Pashorek get the double play, and quickly 2 down.
Bannister will get a lot of ground balls, and that was just room service. Nice bouncing ball. The only problem they might have with the infield today is that it is soft and the ball coming to the infielder. Whitaker didn't quite get to Cruz, who can really turn that double play.
I tell you, Joe, I would give anything to just watch 2 guys take double play practice. One, Ozzie Smith at short, and Julio Cruz at second. If that wouldn't be the eye-catching double play combination in baseball, I don't know what would be. Here is Barbaro Garbey. Good hitter. And and a strike, 0-1. Garbey, one of the boat people, one of the refugees from Cuba. So, of course, this is a big moment for him to make his major league start today. 1 ball and 1 strike, 2 down in the first inning, no score. The breeze blowing in from back of right center field. Garbey was once seriously injured. He was hit in the face in a beanball. Broke his jaw. That was a couple of years ago, 1981.
You just saw a shot of the flags, and ball players will constantly check it, especially in this ballpark, because it may change. Just keep in mind how that flag is blowing now. It may change.
The 2-2 pitch. Fastball got him swinging. So the number 2 strikeout man in the league last year picks up his first scalp today. And at the end of half an inning, Tigers nothing. Here come the Sox.
When people set about fixing things, they naturally head for Sears. You'll find Craftsman hand tools like these, guaranteed forever, in more toolboxes, Craftsman mowers in more backyards, weather beater paint on more brushes, and more people clean up with a Kenmore washer than any other. They're all America's best sellers.
5/8.
That's a recommendation you can trust
5/8.
from a few million of your neighbors.
There's more for your life at Sears.
Hi, I'm Tony La Russa, manager of the Chicago White Sox, and today against Jack Morris, we're going to send out as a leadoff hitter Rudy Law, the igniter of our offense, playing center field. Second is Carlton Fisk, our catcher. Big boost to our offense because a second-place hitter who hits 26 home runs and drives in 86 runs is a big boost. Our third hitter is Harold Baines, our right fielder. He's our big clutch guy in the late innings. Bull Luzinski is our DH. Ron Kittle is our left fielder, and Tom Pachorik is our first baseman. They hit 4th, 5th, and 6th. And the last 3 guys in our lineup handle the bat real well and all hitting good in situations. That's Vance Law at third base, Scott Fletcher at shortstop, Julio Cruz, our second baseman, who also is a spark of our club defensively. Our pitcher today is Floyd Bannister.
Here's the way it'll be defensively. Brookins is at third base for Detroit. And we told you about Trammell and Whitaker. That's just a clinic when those 2 guys play. Garbey at first base. Sparky says he has soft hands, much like Vic Power. And that's a pretty good comparison because that Power could catch an egg from 90 feet and not crack it. Herndon is in left field. Lemon in center field. He'll be roaming a lot. Gibson, and I might add, a big change in Gibson, and boy, did Sparky give Al Kaline a lot of credit. And in talking to Gibson, I think you have to give him a lot of credit because it's a change in attitude. He said, God gives you ability, but it's up to you to do it. And if there's one guy that I would pick on just a short conversation, Vin, to have a big year would be Gibson. He was talking about today, he said, if I lead off, I might try to drop a bunt. He said, I can't be swinging for home runs. I can't be doing this, can't be doing that. I like his attitude.
Well, on the mound is certainly somebody you've got to like. The winningest pitcher in the last 5 years in the major leagues, Jack Morris. He's won 84 over that period, a 20-game winner. He led the league in strikeouts. One thing that's a little shocking about Jack Morris, however, is the fact that he's pitching on 3 days rest. It's a little early to be pitching on 3 days, and in checking last year, he pitched 14 times on 3 days rest. He won 5 and lost 8. But I guess Sparky figures, hey, the season just started. He's strong enough. Let's go get him.
That's a pretty strong battery when you look at him.
Rudy Law will start it off. Law, of course, a spearhead in the attack for the Sox. It came over here from the Dodgers.
Jack Morris is a 90-plus fastball pitcher, has a hard slider, and he throws a forkball, but they call it a split-fingered fastball.
The 1-0 pitch on the way, a strike. Now, why would they suddenly make that distinction to say, well, we want to call it a split-fingered fastball?
Roger Craig wants his pitchers to continue thinking fastball. And if they think fastball and throw a forkball, you got the arm speed of a fastball.
1-1 pitch to Rudy is a drive to right field. Gibson going back on the track at the wall, one-hands it. Fine play by Kirk Gibson in right field, and that ball was drilled by Rudy Law. Hey, Al, Kyline, take another look, huh?
Yes, sir. Kaline worked with him. He's playing deeper. He had that thing zeroed in all the way. He knew exactly where he was and makes a good play on it. And that wind may be a factor. That flag we were looking at, not blowing at all, just a little slight breeze blowing.
It'll come in gusts from that direction. Meanwhile, the man they call Pudge, Carlton Fisk, at the plate. He had 26 home runs last year. That would be the most ever by a White Sox catcher. Ball one.
And you notice that Fisk, a real student of the Charlie Lau theory of hitting, and the White Sox are paying tribute to Lau and to Lauren Vave, two of their coaches who have passed away, by wearing a patch.
The 1-0 pitch missed in there. Ball 2-0. The patch has the numeral 6 and then a slash and the numeral 46. And the Sox will wear that all year long. And of course the other number, 72, that sounds like somebody trying out. There's the patch in memory of Charlie Lau and Lauren Vave. 2-0. A busted bat, foul ball down the left field line, curling into the seats. And the bat, the sliver, went flying into the seats and fortunately did not hit anybody. Thank goodness for that.
That bat really didn't break like most bats break right in the middle or something. He just slivered like you say. And that guy, he's got himself a souvenir. I saw in, where was it, Minnesota, where Lance Parrish, they had a picture in the paper, the bat and stitches on the head. So fortunately nobody was hit with this one.
There's Big Lance. We have a moment to point out that number of Carlton Fisk. 72 doesn't sound like a regular. It sounds like somebody trying out. But in case you missed it, it's a reversal of the 27 he wore with Boston for 9 years. Also, his son, Casey, was born in 1972. And so Carlton decides it's a whole new career. He wears 72 for the Sox. One away. First inning, no score. Slider got the corner.
And I'd be willing to bet his wife has some jewelry with 27 on it. She just turns it around and it's 72.
That's cinch. Cinch. So Carlton Fisk, the big guy. And of course, last year, one of the solid members, as you can see, third in the MVP voting. 2-2.
That was that split-fingered fastball or forkball, and that thing really rolled off the table. Roger Craig teaches it, and you watch that thing break straight down. The arm speed is the important thing, and thinking split-fingered fastball, the arm speed is of the fastball, and watch it just break down because you cannot possibly throw it hard when you grip it between your index finger and your middle finger. And Roger teaches it to grip it like a fastball and keep spreading your fingers until you find a comfortable spot.
Here is Harold Baines, who certainly found a comfortable spot, hitting number 3 for the Sox, taking ball 1. Baines hitting .280 last year and had 99 RBIs, as you can see. So he had a magnificent season. He had 22 game-winning RBIs, setting a major league record for that particular stat. He was shut down, however. In the 4 games with Baltimore, he hit only 125.
He hit some shots, though. Remember that? Line drives right at him. You just can't control that ball when it comes off the bat. It's a matter of luck, but this fella can do it all.
He was discovered, they tell us, by former White Sox president Bill Veeck when Harold was only 12 years old. They were neighbors on Maryland's Eastern Shore. That's fouled away. And later, when the Sox had a chance to get Baines, there were a lot of people around here who couldn't believe the selection because Chicago selected Baines over Paul Molitor and Terry Kennedy back in June of '77. And Harold has certainly made that judgment stand up. 2 down, first inning, no score. Oh, he is humming. So we have our strikeout scene set because Bannister had one, and now Morris comes back with two. And at the end of an inning, the Tigers nothing and the Sox nothing.
To the millions who use paint remover on varnished furniture, I have some advice. Stop immediately.
But I've always used it. Use Formby's furniture refinisher. Some paint removers raise the grain and strip the wood's beauty, and it's hard work.
Formby's easily dissolves old varnish, lacquer, and shellac. No sanding, no scraping. With Formby's furniture refinisher, the wood's beauty actually reappears.
Homer Formby. No one knows wood as good.
Try my tung oil wood stains and finishes.
This camping trip was a good idea.
Yeah, it sure is relaxing.
Peaceful. Groovy. Groovy. Kind of dark, though. Man, I'm getting thirsty. Yeah, let's have another light beer from Miller. Lights, let's fill it! Let's fill it! Let's fill it! Let's fill it!
What was that?
The creature.
What creature?
Well, legend has it that a horrible thing stalks these woods.
Oh, Mickey!
It comes out when the moon is full.
What does this creature look like?
It walks on two legs, but it isn't human.
It's got big eyes that bulge out and...
It's the creature! Hey, guys, where you going? Hey, guys, where are the marshmallows?
Light beer from Miller. Everything you always wanted in a beer, and less.
Come on, it's after us! Man, did you see that thing? Suck it.
In boxing circles, some say it is a matter of strength. Others claim it is speed. When Juan Laporte battles Wilfredo Gomez for the WBC Featherweight Championship, it will be a matter of pride, a matter of the heart. On NBC Sports World, there is a world of difference.
Well, we have two fellows at Comiskey Park today in the parlance of baseball who can punch you out. Jack Morris and Floyd Bannister, numbers 1 and 2 in strikeouts last year. And talking about punching you out, how about tomorrow on NBC Sports World? Champion Juan Laporte and challenger Wilfredo Gomez, and those two guys can hit you from anywhere.
Gomez got the best knockout average in boxing history. He's 41-1. 41-1. It sounds like you're talking about Koufax.
Yeah, sign that guy who got the one.
That's right. Who beat him?
That's tomorrow on NBC Sports World. And we go to the second inning with Lance Parrish, Larry Herndon, and then Rod Allen. And they're bundled up in the Sox dugout. Look at the size of Parrish.
Oh,
he's not a parish, he's a community.
He is. He both.
Lance Parrish is listed at 6'3" and 220. They forgot one word, hard.
Oh, you put your arm on his back and it's like a one-wall handball court.
Off speed, and he missed with it, ball 2. Parrish was named to the All-Star team for the second straight year and the third time in his big league career. He hit 2 grand slams last year. And he also won his first Gold Gloves. He had a big year. Fastball picked up the corner, and the count 2-1.
He has to be the guy on that Detroit ball club that LaRussa says, don't let him beat you. There's always one on every club.
So Floyd Bannister working very carefully to Lance Parrish, and the 2-1 pitch to Lance. Breaking ball missed. Big sweeper down and in, ball 3. 3-1. As you might guess, Floyd Bannister pitching very carefully to Parrish, but of course he's followed by Larry Herndon. 3-1 to Lance. Fastball, and he missed with it. So Parrish draws a walk, and Larry Herndon will be coming up. You have Dick Tracewski coaching at first for Sparky Anderson's Tigers, and a fellow they used to call the Candy Kid when he first came up 100 years ago, it seems, Alex Grammas over at third. And here is Larry Herndon. Herndon might leave a little to be desired defensively, but he had a big year last year, hit .302. And he was a giant against the Sox, and they play hit and run, and he fouls it away. All Larry Herndon did against Chicago last year was hit .388 with 4 home runs and 9 RBIs. He's probably got his picture in the post office here.
unpredictability of baseball. You got your 5th place hitter up there. Your 4th place man has just walked. You almost figure the pitcher's going to try to get ahead of this guy, and Sparky puts a play on.
He's up there hacking in the count 0-2. So Parrish at first, nobody out in the 2nd inning, no score.
We talk about Parrish being in shape. Floyd Bannister, I don't think there's a day in his life he hasn't been in shape. His physical condition, just great. I know it for a fact because he comes to the gym in Scottsdale.
Oh, he's one of those guys. 0-2. You have the only gym in America where they lift aluminum?
I lift aluminum. That's for the over 40s. We got over 40s over there. We lift aluminum. Guys like Parrish and Bannister can pump iron.
Floyd Bannister. Remarkable when you realize his minor league career, he had a total of 7 games. That's all. 1-2. Fastball, and Herndon late. Boy, that thing hit him in on the thumbs. You talk about fighting off a pitch. Herndon was fighting for his life on that fastball.
And that really is a double plus for the pitcher, because on a day that's a bit nippy, and today certainly is that, you stick that ball into that handle at the end of the bat, and it's like plugging in a socket. You get more than static cling, I'll tell you that.
Parrish at first. Nobody out in the 2nd inning, no score. Pop foul off to the right of the plate. Here comes Fisk and Pashorek. Neither man can get to it.
That's the thing in this ballpark, too, Vin. A lot of foul territory here. So that takes some times at bat away from hitters. So there's a lot of room here, and pitchers love that. Hitters don't like that. But look at all the room you got.
The greatest foul area I ever saw in a ballpark, I think, is in Atlanta. But they finally brought the fences in, not from the outfield, but from the grandstand, because the hitters were getting killed down there. 1-2, the count to Larry Herndon. Parrish at first, nobody out, 2nd inning, no score. Pull up a chair, spend part of Saturday with us, and hope you make it a habit. You know, Tom Seaver might have pitched today, but because of a Sox rainout, he will pitch tomorrow. However, in a sense, that's good news for us. I'll tell you more in a moment. 1-2. There goes the runner, foul back. According to the pitching schedule and rotation for the White Sox, next Saturday, Joe and I will bring you Tom Seaver in Yankee Stadium, New York, pitching against the Yankees. That has to be one of the great moments in many years.
Oh, that'll be an event, a happening.
Seaver versus New York. 1-2, the count to Larry Herndon. And Parrish doesn't go, and the breaking ball foul back. So Herndon is up there fouling him off, 1-2. Herndon strikes out, roughly a 1/6 of the time. But against a left-hander, Sparky playing hit and run with him.
He ran the pitch before, didn't run this pitch. You'd look for it, because invariably it's odd and even kind of thing, every other one. Let's see if that holds true.
And he was very effective against left-handers. He hit over 350 against them. 1-2, and they're going to watch Big Lance Parrish. He takes a lot of watching. Parrish last year only stole 1 base, and it was probably a busted hit-and-run play. 1-2. Fastball away. 2-2 the count.
When you're that big, man, you must have to kickstart that body.
We're in the top of the 2nd inning, no score in the ball game, and we are seeing a little heat here with Floyd Bannister and Jack Morris. Morris, the #1 strikeout man, Bannister #2 last year.
Here's where he's got to go for that strikeout, because he's liable to end up with a double play, a strikeout, throw him out here.
Parrish is going to draw a throw. Fisk wigwagging a couple of signs out. Breaking ball lifted to right field. Baines has the play. Harold is right there to make the catch. And back to first goes Parrish. So Herndon hits a breaking ball inside out and flies to right. And with 1 away in the 2nd inning, Rod Allen is coming up.
That flag that we looked at twice so far is On the right side of that scoreboard, look at it now. Hardly blown, just starting up. When that ball was hit, it was dead.
Yeah, you better keep watching those flags. The center fielder doesn't have too much of a problem because the scoreboard acts as a natural shield. But boy, on the edges, they're coming in. As you can see, the center fielder is pretty well protected from the wind. Here is Rod Allen. Fouled away. In the words of Sparky Anderson, Rod Allen was born to be a DH. He is not a particularly good defensive player. And that's really being kind, right?
Sparky, he doesn't mince any words. He has one player that has a great nickname, and we will not name him. But because of his hands, he calls him
Clang Clang.
Clang Clang, which is the sound of the ball hitting his glove.
You get the picture. 0-1 to Rod Allen, who was a White Sox draft pick back in '77, and looks at a strike. 0-2. Rod appeared as a DH the other day. Made his contributions. He was traded to Seattle in a deal that involved Todd Cruz for Tom Paciorek. 0-2. Wait. 1-2. Second inning, no score. Lance Parrish, who walked at first, and Floyd Bannister, who was 3-9 before the All-Star game and was 13-1, including a 9-game winning streak after the All-Star game. Bannister came off the campus of Arizona State. One out here in the second, no score. Parrish at first. And he's late on a fastball and just did get a piece of it and fouled it away. You know, when we were talking about Bannister and his strikeout ratio, he averages 7 strikeouts for every 9 innings. That's fourth. Only Righetti, Blyleven, and Guidry have a little bit better. And, of course, the best among active pitchers, Nolan Ryan, who strikes out a little more than 9 for 9 innings. 1-2. That's a tough pitch to take with 2 strikes, I'll tell you.
The reason you take that pitch is because you're completely fooled by it and you can't pull the trigger and you try to act like, well, that ball was outside.
Durwood Merrill, the plate umpire, eyeballing that thing all the way. Tim McClellan at first, Marty Springstead umpiring at second, Jim McKeon at third. 2-2 to Rod Allen, the DH. Chet Lemon on deck. Breaking ball got him, so he gave him the express outside, and then public enemy number 1, the deuce, got him.
You saw a pretty good piece of pitching there. Remember, with 2 strikes, he moved him off the plate and then tried to nip the outside corner and set up this pitch. Watch it break right in, and even if he hits it, he's not going to do anything with it. He had just taken all his power away from him because he broke it in a real good spot. The target there is that belt buckle. That was a great pitch, but he set it up with 2 pitches before that.
Well, these two, Morris and Bannister, sent a lot of guys walking back to the dugout. And now here's Chet Lemon. Lemon hitting .333 in the young year, a strike. Lemon figures to be very busy defensively. Herndon in left, Gibson in right. And, of course, that's his job, and he makes the most of it. He had 8 putouts yesterday. He was all over the place. Lance Parrish at first, held on by Tom Paciorek. 2 out in the second, no score. Boy, in at the kneecap. 1-1. Chet comes from a high school in Los Angeles that has produced 4 others in the big leagues. Bob Watson, George Hendrick, Dan Ford, Bobby Tolan, and Chester. 1-1. When he hit 24 home runs last year, it was a personal high for Lemon. Hurt his thumb diving at a ball, was out about 10 days last year. The Tigers, to a man, feel if they're healthy, they're going to do it. And that's a little shocking when you realize they have to beat the world champions.
Well, they won 92 games last year. Baltimore won 98, so...
And, of course, the White Sox won 99. 1-1 to count to Chet Lemon. Fastball fouled behind Alex Kramus and down the line. Just to refresh your memory, the dimensions here at Comiskey Park. 341 down the lines, 374 up the power alleys, and 401 in the corners, and then to dead center field. This great ballpark that was opened up in 1910, Comiskey Park.
Coyle worked it with one camera. I'll never forget that telecast.
Let's see, was he here then?
One camera to cover the whole game.
Remarkable.
Be interesting to watch this pitch. You remember Rod Allen, he went outside and then got him with the curveball. Will he go for him here or set it up?
1-2. Boy, he can run that thing. And that's a mean pitch.
Cuts it.
So the so-called cut fastball, driving Lemon back a little, and the count 2 balls, 2 strikes. 2 down in the second inning. No score. Lance Parrish, who walked at first.
There's the one he threw to Allen, and that's the one he wanted.
You wonder sometimes how you can cut a fastball.
Pressure of the fingers, and it's the middle finger.
Tough enough to throw strikes, but now suddenly you're playing the piano out there. Watch him. So a full count, 2 down, and they'll turn Parrish loose. Tom Paciorek back of the bag, no longer holding. Parrish goes, and there's a high fly ball into deep left field. Back goes Kittle, away back, it's gone.
Before the game, talking to Tony La Russa, he said on a day like today, you want your pitchers to challenge the hitters. You want them to throw strikes, and that's exactly what Bannister did. He challenged Lemon, and Lemon won the challenge because he really went into it. Look at that. He stayed with it, and Bannister, as you can see right there, knows that it's gone. He's heard that awful sound too many times before.
Well, you know, it's a new year, but it's the same old tormentor because Chet Lemon led the Tigers against White Sox pitching last year. Lemon hit .409 against Chicago pitching. He had 2 home runs and 5 ribbies, and he picks up 2 with 1 swing today. And now here's Kirk Gibson, 0-1. 1-1.
And Vance Law has moved in close to third. Paciorek is shortened up because Gibson will bunt the ball, and by pulling him in, he's got a better chance to knock that ball past him.
Gibson hurt his knee last year, and he had to have arthroscopic surgery. But at 6'3" and 215, he can still move it a little bit. He had 14 stolen bases. So when you're as big and strong and run well, they have to bring Vance Law in. Pops it in the air, foul off third, and that one begins to twist and turn and go upstairs out of play.
Here's a reaction from Lemon as he hit it. He knew he got it all, and there's the reaction. Shades of Carlton Fisk in the 75 World Series. With Kirk Gibson, the big adjustment he's made in his batting stance is to lay back on that back foot. The bat is back a little bit farther and not move around as much. Try to keep his head just a little bit still.
Bounce that one. So the count 3-2. So Bannister opened up the inning by walking Parrish, and with 2 out, went all the way to Lemon, who hit it out. Now he comes right back to Gibson all the way. Hitting 9th is Tommy Brookins. And Floyd has walked another. One of the problems for each pitcher today is the cool weather. It's about 50 degrees. And as you well know, when you are cold, your hands become very slick. It's very hard to get a grip. I'm wondering if they didn't make a deal, usually the umpires will do that in cold weather, where they will allow the pitcher to go to his mouth. I haven't seen them make any indication that that rule has been waived today or not, but it must be tough to hold on to that ball.
It is, and I'm sure that if the managers wanted it for the pitchers, the umpires would allow them to go to their mouth to get a better grip on that ball.
Well, here's Tommy Brookins. Brookins hit only .214 for Detroit last year. So they're hoping he can come back a little better. Fastball in there for a strike, 0-1. Brookins was a first-round pick back in 1975. You know, you have to be able to survive in this game. Not that anybody can survive the good days, but the bad days, to be able to come back from it. And Tommy had a dreadful day 4 years ago, but he's still here, to his credit. Ground ball to the right side, and there's Cruz feeding Fletcher. That's it. Brookins in 1980 made 4 errors in one game, but he fought his way back. It's 2-0 Detroit at the end of an inning and a half as Lemon put the crush on.
When you buy a new car, you want to keep it looking new. And that's easy with Armor All Protectant. A scientific formula that took a polymer chemist 10 years to develop. It helps keep rubber, vinyl, leather, and plastic looking new. So even though you can't keep your car from getting old, you can keep it from looking old. Armor All. It's science, but it works like magic.
Watch this truck leap ahead. It's the small pickup that has the jump on all the others. Tough Ford Ranger. While small import trucks have had a 20-year head start, Ford Ranger has jumped to #1 in just 2 years. With features like its V6 engine, most powerful of any small truck, the widest cab of any small truck, and exclusive twin I-beam suspension. No wonder Ford Ranger outsells Chevy S10, Toyota, and Nissan. It's the #1 small truck in America. Yes, America's best-built trucks are built Ford Tough.
The beauty of a Delta faucet is, when it's on, it's on. And when it's off, it's off. Its washerless design helps keep it from dripping, so it lasts and lasts and lasts. Delta faucet. We're first because we last.
Sunday night, Father Murphy returns. Ain't that so? All the adventure, all the action, and all the warmth of America's best-loved family drama, Sunday on Father Murphy.
Len Berman in New York, and in Minnesota, first inning, rookie Tim Tuffle for the Twins nails a 2-run homer off Mike Flanagan. It's now 7-0 Twins in the second, 3 Oriole errors. Flanagan is gone. Let's go back to Vin and Joe.
Okay, Len, and what is that old adage about uneasy lies the head that wears the crown? And the Baltimore Orioles being whacked around by Minnesota 7-0. That's a shocker. Well, here's somebody who can knock the corners off anything, including a building. Greg Luzinski, followed by Ron Kittle, and then Tom Pashorek.
I'll tell you, with that Parrish behind the plate and Luzinski in the batter's box, you got a convention.
What a guy. And born right here in Chicago, so naturally the Bull very much the favorite. 33 years old. Right. He's listed at 256 with those massive thighs. Watching him put on his socks today was quite an experience.
He came in sections.
In the dirt. Of course, with that build, he almost did not play baseball. He was a prep star at Notre Dame High in northwest Chicago, and everybody wanted him, and he almost went to the University of Kansas before the Phillies persuaded him to play baseball. Foul back out of play. 1-2.
He was going to be the team bus. Get a scholarship.
Gregory Michael Luzinski. He led the team with walks last year, second in home runs. And he was the first hitter in the 73-year history of Comiskey Park to hit 3 home runs onto or over the outfield roof. 1-2. And he hits a high fly ball into right center field. Lemon and Gibson, and it'll be Lemon making the catch. And actually, the wind brought that thing back.
Yes, it did. It brings up Ron Kittle, and I asked him about the pressures of being Rookie of the Year and sophomore jinx. I don't think I'm going to have it, but my freshman teacher said I probably would, the way I was going out of my freshman year in high school. But all in all, I'm going to go out there and play my best. That's a great answer.
My teacher. Well, for Kittle, he's a guy who really did not have it easy, so I don't think he's going to worry about sophomore jinx. You might remember in 1977, he had a paralyzed arm. Little blooper to center field, Lemon and Whitaker, and it's Whitaker. So Kittle underwent surgery, had his spine fused, and then he comes back to have that big year. Watch Whitaker and Lemon.
I don't think Lemon could have made that play. Whitaker got back. Wind again a factor here. You know, with our center field shot, you might take a good look at Parrish's paraphernalia because it's a big target. He looks like one of those highway construction workers with all that orange, and in the face of his glove, an invention of Al Campana's gives him a target.
The batter now is Tom Pashoric, who fouls it away 0-1. Tom, who for years had the nickname Wimpy because in his minor league days he was forever eating hamburgers, and of course they picked up that character from Popeye. Well, Wimpy was anything but a wimp. He hit over 300, and he was a big contributor to the Sox success. 0-2. He was once picked in the NFL football draft by the Miami Dolphins, and he might have one of the great smiles in the game, too. Foul back. Tom Pashoric.
Used to do a great John Wayne imitation, too.
He's really a wonderful kid. 2-0 in favor of Detroit on that home run by Chet Lemon, with Lance Parrish aboard in the second inning. Chased it.
Oh, there's that split-fingered fastball again, and I mean, you talk about it, it's like a dry spitter.
Well, you spell that King with a capital K. That's his third strikeout. Jack Morris, the leader last year. We'll be right back after these messages from your local station.
Hosting tonight's Saturday Night Live will be actor, producer, superstar Michael Douglas.
Joe, you're too kind. Really, should mention it.
Oh, and the star of Romancing the Stone.
The weather's closing in. The road's getting worse. That's when you want the performance of Exxon unleaded regular gasoline. It has all the octane most cars need to help silence knocks and pings and give you the performance you need. For still higher octane, try Exxon Extra Unleaded. When you want performance, you want Exxon. Quality you can count on.
America's great personal luxury car. Nothing looks like it. Nothing feels like it. Nothing drives like it. It is a car that will treat you well from the day you drive it at your Southern California Ford dealer.
I'd sure like another Stroh's.
Oh, wait. Alex? 2 cold Stroh's.
Where do you see this?
Just open the refrigerator. Just open one bottle. Just open the other. Now he's pouring yours. Now he's pouring mine.
Alex, you better be drinking your water.
From one beer lover to another Stroh's.
Shape Up on Morning Stretch, weekdays at 6 on Channel 4.
Here's that last pitch, the split-fingered fastball. Watch it just drop off the table. Arm speed like a fastball, and down she goes. He's about 4 feet from it and 10 minutes early.
Now, how in the world can you hit that?
Can't.
I mean, if he starts throwing that all day, no wonder he led the league in strikeouts. Well, Lou Whitaker started off. He singled in the first inning, and then was erased as Trammell hit into a double play. Top of the third inning, 2-0 Detroit. 1-1. No big deal, but this day in baseball history, the Yankees beat the Washington Senators in 1969 on this day. Little fly ball to left field, and that should be Ron Kittle's territory, 1 away. When the Yankees beat Washington in 1969, they spoiled the debut of Ted Williams as a manager. And one other note on this day, Ken Forsch of Houston pitched a no-hitter against Atlanta. Now look at this. That is shocking when you compare Alan Trammell and Robin Yount, their first 6 years in the big leagues. I don't imagine anyone realized that Trammell was that kind of a player, except in Detroit. Look at that.
Pretty well kept secret. Those are amazing statistics. And Sparky brought up another name. He said, check it against David Concepcion's record for the first 6 years. You're talking about three pretty good players.
Alan Trammell weighs about 182. He's the kind of a kid, when this game is over and everybody showers and go home, he will work out for another hour and a half or so with Lance Parrish. Sparky said he figures in another year or so he's going to be about 190 and be even stronger and hit more. He thinks Trammell could hit well over 300.
Driving 60 runs, he said. 18 home runs.
2-1. Ball 3. 3-1. The count to Alan Trammell.
Sparky's another one of those guys like Chuck Tanner. I wish the reaction they would have gotten if they'd have been on the Titanic, what they would have said. You know, what a great night for a swim.
3-1 to Allen, and he promptly lines it to left. Kittle coming over and handles it. The Trammell lines out. Ron Kittle handling 2 here in the 3rd inning, and the battle will be Barbaro Garbey. Garbey playing first base against a left-hander, but of course Darrell Evans figures to do the job most of the time against right-handers. But that was another part of Sparky's deal in getting Dave Bergman. He could play Bergman and have Evans DH, or just save Bergman for later in the day, because Bergman, to many players, is about as good a fielding first baseman as there is in the big league.
The White Sox got a guy like that, too, that Squires. In fact, Tony's talking about playing him at third base.
I hope we can see that.
Left-handed throwing third baseman.
0-1 the count to Barbaro Garbey from Santiago, Cuba. One ball, one strike. Sparky Anderson, the senior manager in the American League. That's hard to believe. Fouled away. Sparky took over as manager of Detroit in June of 1979. Tony La Russa took over in August of 79. Now, the #1 manager in the American League with victories is Ralph Houck, and Sparky is #2.
It's hard to believe when, you stop and think American League as much time as he spent in the National League.
Fouled away. Yeah. Tony La Russa took over the helm in August of 79. A lot of differences between these two teams. For instance, with the White Sox, you'd have Lazinski as their designated hitter. Last year, the Tigers had 10 different players as designated hitters. Fisted foul off to the right and out of play. Another difference, and of course they had a solid ball club. There are not too many new faces on the White Sox. Brennan, Seaver, and Reed. But for Detroit, they've had 10 new faces, 3 rookies, and they have 8 players who weren't with the club in September last year.
And a new owner.
Pass the pizza. 1-2. Whoa, almost got him in the ribs.
He likes to run that ball in on you. That's a cut fastball.
2 balls, 2 strikes the count. Another new face, of course, other than pitchers with Chicago, is Tim Hewlett, who played yesterday. 2-2 to Barbaro Garbey. And he hits it to right, but that's where Baines is, and that's that. So Floyd Bannister sets him down in order on fly balls. And at the end of 2.5 innings, it's Detroit 2 and the White Sox coming up.
I crushed a lot of quarterbacks in my day, and I'm real sorry. So I wrote this letter. Dear quarterbacks, I apologize for the way I've treated you. Please let me buy you a light beer from Miller. Light's my beer because it tastes great. I'm sure it's yours, too. Because you little guys can't afford to get filled up. Hope to see you soon. Sincerely, L.C. Greenwood.
Leg beer from Miller. Everything you always wanted in a beer. And less.
IBM introduces PC Junior, a bright little addition to the family. Junior comes with bright computer ideas, like a keyboard that doesn't need a cord. You can get easy-to-use software like word processing, games and graphics your kids won't believe, plus a starting price you won't believe. And with easy-to-add options, Junior can grow up real fast. PC Junior, new from IBM.
I hear that L.C. Greenwood has invited quarterbacks to join him for a light beer from Miller. Well, here's my reply. Dear L.C., I accept your gracious offer. A quarterback is far too intelligent to turn down a light beer because it's less filling and it tastes great. Even you big, clumsy linemen know that. Hope to see you soon. Sincerely, Bert Jones. Come on, Bert!
Leg beer from Miller. Everything you always wanted in a beer. And less.
How'd he do that?
Por el honor, por el orgullo, dos de los mejores atletas puertorriqueños pelean por el campeonato featherweight del WBC. Juan Laporte, el campeón, contra Wilfredo Gómez, mañana en NBC Sports World.
On NBC Sports World, there is a world of difference.
In any language, it ought to be a dandy. Laporte and Gomez, mañana.
Mañana, he had it. That was great.
We're going to the bottom of the third inning. Vance Law, Scott Fletcher, and Julio Cruz, and a clown or two just to keep the spirits light on somewhat of a cool day. It was 50 degrees at the start of the game. Thin cloud cover coming over, so I would think the temperature will start to skid in the other direction now. Here is Vance Law. And of course, you might remember his dad, Vernon Law. And the initial V figures as prominently in that family as anywhere in the world. Right. His father's name, Vern. His mother, Vanita. His brothers are Veldon, Verrill, Vaughn, and Varlin. And his sister, Valinda. Oh, one other note. The dog's name is Victor. Da-da-da-da. Vance Law. Boy, his daddy was something.
Oh, good pitcher, and what a class act.
Yeah. 0-2 the count to Vance. High pop fly into shallow right field. Gibson with the shades down makes the play. So Law, a little fly ball, one away. And the batter now will be Scott Fletcher.
LaRusso said something interesting before the game. He said, when you look at my 7th, 8th, and 9th batters, just check the box scores and notice how many times you'll see 1 or 2 runs attributed to my 7th, 8th, and 9th place batters.
Yeah, he had 237 last year. You could call it a quiet 237. And yet, he made many a contribution along with Vance Law. A number to third. Right there is Tommy Brookins. And over to Barbet. So 2 down in the third. And that means Jack Morris has retired 8 in a row. And the batter will be Julio Cruz. Morris has had some great moments naturally. And one of them had to be in 1980 in August against the Minnesota Twins. He had a one-hitter. Well, he's gotten them all so far, but we're only in the third. And here is Julio Cruz, who I guess really was the guy, the catalyst to make things happen around here. When he came over from Seattle, the Sox just took off. When he came to the White Sox, June 17th, they were 5.5 games out of first place. In fact, they were in 5th place. And from that point on, they took off. They won better than 2 out of 3. 0-2.
LaRusso may have coined a phrase. He calls him his defensive igniter.
And yet they almost lost him, they tell me, but Kenny Harrelson finally convinced him to meet with the Sox owners And they finally signed him, and here he is. And there he goes. And it means that Jack Morris now has 4 strikeouts. Well, coming up next Saturday, be sure to join us for Major League Baseball Game of the Week. In fact, let's take a look at that exciting prospect.
The American tradition continues from the house that Ruth built. It's a new season for Yogi with the inevitable Yankee controversy. And the Swordas Dodgers battle the Giants. The tradition is here. The memories are waiting next Saturday.
Nothing gets you closer to America than a motorcycle. And nothing takes you there like a Honda Goldwing.
Six, 5, 4, 3, 2.
You want to go to the moon? Do you want to go to the moon?
Lift off.
Why trust moments like these to anything else? Introducing Kodak Videotape. It captures the sights and sounds of every moment with color that's beautifully accurate, unmistakably Kodak.
Beam me up, Mr. Spark.
When the moment means more, tape it and keep it on Kodak Videotape.
Over 4,500 locally owned Ace stores can bring you Best Buys of the month.
Like these Ace Quality Craft bow rakes and shovels. Just $4.97 each.
Ace 2-ply trash and lawn bags are another April Best Buy. Just $1.37.
The Rubbermaid Roughneck is only $9.33. And the $2 rebate makes a Best Buy even better. See you next trip.
Thanks, Ace!
Ace is a place with a helpful hardware man.
We're going to the 4th inning at Comiskey Park here in Chicago, and Detroit leading the Sox 2-0 on a 2-out, 2-run home run by Chet Lemon in the 2nd inning. Now it'll be Lance Parrish, Larry Herndon, and the DH, Rod Allen. Lance hit 27 home runs last year, 32 the year before, so he brings up a lot of sock. And Bannister going to work. Good fastball.
If you keep track of pitches, with that pitch, Bannister's made 58. Morris has made only 27.
Which is a little surprising in the sense that Morris is striking people out. He has struck out 4. Usually, strikeout pitchers make a lot of pitches. There's a shot off the leg of Bannister, deflected to Cruz, who throws to Pashorek, and Bannister gestures to the Sox dugout, "I'm okay."
Didn't hit him solidly. It just kind of glanced off, and he's fine. Good physical shape, and you'll watch it here. I tell you, boy, when a big guy hits that ball back like that, 60 feet 6 inches, not very far away. There it is, off the side of the leg, and deflected right to the second baseman, Cruz.
National League score, Philadelphia, Cincinnati, scoreless at the end of 3. We have 1 out on the 4th, 2-0 in favor of Detroit, and here is Larry Herndon. Trying. 0-1. You know, we were talking about this day in baseball. Tomorrow is a big day in baseball. I don't know where all the days went. On the corner. Henry Aaron celebrates his anniversary tomorrow. It was April the 8th. When he hit home run number 715 against Al Downing and the Dodgers, and Atlanta went wild. And Herndon goes down. So now Bannister picks up his 2nd strikeout. We've had a half a dozen in the game. So that's strikeout number 3 now for Floyd. So that gives a total of 7. And here is Rod Allen, who struck out in the 2nd. So the 1-2 strikeout pitches in the league are heating up, and all the strikeouts, the hitters have been swinging. Two out on the 4th. Detroit 2, Sox nothing. Fastball just missed.
Both pitchers around that plate.
There's the big guy so far, Chet Lemon. It's his home run, accounting for the 2-0 score. Trying to keep that fastball down to Allen, and he's gotten it too far below, and the count 2-0. I wonder about catching on a cold day like today in your hands, Joe. Take a beating?
Oh, yeah. You try to keep them warm between innings, I'll tell you that.
Foul back. I have heard of catchers who put falsies, ladies' falsies in the glove. What do you use?
I used a regular sponge.
You were very macho, I guess.
No, I didn't want to get emotionally involved. But Walker Cooper was the first guy that I saw do that.
2-1. Then it drop out of the glove and somebody say, "Is this yours?"
Let me tell you, it happened. It really did. He made a tag play at the plate, and it rolled around and settled on home plate, and the camera went in for a tight shot. The next day, he got all kinds of requests, Big Coop.
3-1 to count to Rod Allen. 2 down on the fourth. Base is empty. And there's a chopper down to shortstop, and there's Scott Fletcher to get him on a good toe dance by Tom Paciorek. He really threw a sailor over there, and Paciorek did a good job. At the end of 3.5 innings, Detroit 2 and the Sox nothing, and it'll be Law, Fisk, and Baines coming up.
There's more for your life.
Last year, while you were deciding which home computer to take home, Sears bolted on more than 1 million mufflers. While you were trying on the latest Gulagong activewear, Sears sold over 9 million tires. And while you were checking out Sears' open home collection, we replaced more batteries than anyone else in America. So next time you drive over to Sears, drive right in. We install confidence.
There's more for your life at Sears.
For Bola wines, Franco Bola.
Sono Franco Bolla.
Why do so many people prefer my Suave Bola to other fine white wines? Taste. Not just exceptional taste, but exceptional taste every time the wine is served. That is why I make sure that our Suave Bola tastes crisp, dry, smooth, always. After all, when you're a Bola, you don't let your friends down. You can always trust the taste of a Bola.
We're in the bottom of the fourth inning. Jack Morris has retired 9 in a row. A perfect 3 innings while striking out 4. Here's the defensive play thus far as Gibson going to the wall to backhand a long drive off the bat of Rudy Law. Morris is pitching the kind of a game he pitched last year against the Yankees so far. In that game, it was his best of the year. He struck out 12 and didn't walk anybody.
He's a tremendous athlete. In fact, Roger Craig talking about him, he said Kirk Gibson is probably the fastest man on our ball club, and Jack Morris would be second, and he said, I'm not so sure he wouldn't beat him in a foot race.
One surprise about Jack Morris, to follow that surprise, is that he's pitching with a short-sleeved undershirt. Everybody else in Tiger livery has the long, dark, long sleeve, but not Jack. I guess for whatever reason he cuts them off. Probably makes him uncomfortable. Rudy Law, 0 for 1, ball 1. Law with his great speed. And of course, he is a spearhead. And last year, he was one reason why the Sox scored 800 runs. He had 77 stolen bases, so if he gets aboard, he's trouble. We have a moment, so we'll pause briefly for station identification. This is the NBC Television Network. And wait a minute. Apparently, remember we were talking about going to your mouth? I think that's the problem.
That is.
Look at Sparky. We were saying on cold weather, and it's cold enough, normally the umpires say, okay, tell the managers the pitcher can go to his mouth. If you go to your mouth, it immediately adds 1 ball to the count. And after the first pitch to Law, evidently, Jack Morris went to his mouth, and the count is 2 balls and no strikes.
And it's KNBC Los Angeles.
3-0. And the pitch to Rudy, a strike, 3-1. Take a look. There he goes.
And he went with his left hand is what he was complaining about.
Right. 3-1 pitch. In there. Well, Morris slipped his glove, wet the fingers on his left hand, and it cost him a ball on the count. It's now 3-2.
That is a dumb rule.
Let me ask you something. I'm glad it's not being a left-hander. I'm glad it wasn't a left-hander who slipped his glove and wet his right hand. Everybody would say, see, those left-handers are loonies. Well, here's a right-hander who wet his left hand. Coming up next, we're going to have the third-round coverage of the Dinah Shore. 1983 champion Amy Olcott defending her title against Nancy Lopez, the 81 champion Joanne Carner, and, of course, Kathy Whitworth. Buddies Charlie Jones, Lee Trevino, Jay Randolph, John Brody, they'll be all there, so stay right with us.
He's just trying to settle him down because you got to believe that Jack Morris is just a bit frosted, and I don't blame him because it really had no bearing on the game whatsoever. He went his left hand, and they called it a ball. He came back to throw 2 strikes, and I guess you could say, well, he should have better control of himself than that. But that's not the case. He doesn't run on batteries. He is human, and he is frosted.
Well, let's see about Law, and are the Tigers going to watch him? You know, in the last 2 years, Law almost invincible in the American League in stolen bases. For instance, against Milwaukee, 11 out of 11. Baltimore, 7 out of 7. The Yankees, 6 out of 6. Boston, 5 out of 5. Toronto, 9 out of 11. Now they're pitching out. However, the one club to lay down the law is Detroit. He has stolen 6 bases, but he has been caught 5 times. The Tigers are the toughest team in corralling Rudy Law in the American League.
Parrish got the pitch-out sign from the bench. Roger Craig called him, as we've mentioned so many times. But right now, Fisk really took a lot of time, took a good look at his third base coach, because many times after a pitch-out is when they'll put the play on. Figuring most ball clubs won't go for the double pitch-out.
There he goes. And the pitch is low. The throw is high and late. The Rudy Law, who stole 77 for the Sox last year, torments Detroit one of the few times.
He got rid of the ball in good shape, but I think the difference is in that one-hand catching once again. You do give the runner an extra step or two. Johnny Bench could do it, but Johnny Bench did a lot of things that a lot of catchers can't do.
So now Carlin Fisk trying to pick up Rudy Law. The Tigers leading 2-0 here in the bottom of the 4th inning. And that's about the eyes. So Morris, who had a perfect 9 in a row, then lost a pitch going to his mouth, even though it was his left hand and not his right. Immediately lost his concentration, walks Law, who steals second. There's a strike. Boy, it's amazing, though, how quickly a great game can unravel on you.
It's a pretty good example of just one pitch, and actually not even a pitch.
2-0 Detroit. The throw to Whitaker, who wasn't anywhere near the bag. Fisk was elevated to the number 2 spot in the lineup the middle of June last year, and boy, did he react to that. All he did was hit .329 once they move him up there. 3-1. Law at second, nobody out. On deck, Harold Bain. There's the strike. 3-2. So Jack Morris, the first Tiger to win 20 since Joe Coleman. He was the first Tiger to lead the league in strikeouts since Mickey Lolich. 3-2. Foul back. If you joined us a little late, back in the 2nd inning, Lance Parrish opened up with a walk, and 2 outs later, Chuck Lemon hit 1 out. So a full count to Carlin Fisk. Nobody out. Law at second. And he walked him. And the Sox are very much First and second, nobody out, and now the big boys, Baines, Luzinski, and Kittle. Sparky, who seems so incensed over the call, and I bet you he'll be stewing in his juices now if this inning starts to get away on Morris.
Can't hardly blame him.
So Harold Baines, he struck out in the first inning. Rudy Law at second, Carlton Fisk at first, nobody out in the fourth. 2-0 Detroit. Ball one. Garbe, Whitaker, Trammell, and Brookins with Parrish behind the plate. Herndon, Lemon, and Gibson in the outfield. And, of course, Detroit has 3 Gold Glovers out there. Trammell, the shortstop, Whitaker, the second baseman, and Parrish, the catcher. 1-0. Boy, you're going to try and hit that thing in the lake. Baines, 2 years ago, hit 3 home runs versus Detroit at Comiskey. That was in one game, too.
You just saw Morris go to his mound again, but this time he was off the dirt part of the mound. You can do that. It's a restricted area, I guess.
You know, I never thought you'd be penalized for using your non-pitching hand. 1-1. And there's a throwback, not in time. 2-1.
That's a pretty good tip-off on LaRusso's thinking if indeed Baines was bunting, and he looked like he was going to bunt that ball because Tony says they play situation baseball, and with the wind blowing here, he can't wait for the big inning, the home run. He's going to try to tie it up with the bunt. And that play by Parrish was a good one because if nothing else, you shorten up Rudy Law's lead at second base, give your outfielders a chance to throw him out at the plate.
Alan Trammell trying to do a good job of bird-dogging Law, cut down his lead. Whitaker can't do very much with a left-hand hitter up there. 2-1. Ball 3, and now all on that one count that changed it from 2-0 to 3-0 to Rudy Law. Morris walked Law, he has walked Fisk, and he is 3-1 to Harold Baines.
And I'd be willing to bet the house that he won't be bunting on 3-1.
So Law at second, Fisk at first, nobody out.
Do you run him or do you hold him now? What do you do now?
Down 2-0, Baines left-hand hitter. I think I'd keep him there. I got to have Luzinski come up with a bunch on the bases.
I agree with you.
And they're not going. And there's ball 4. So Jack Morris has come apart in the sense he has walked the bases full. He is looking to Sparky saying, shall I wind up or stretch? And we'll see the result of that in a moment.
Bullpen's going to get busy. We saw Roger Craig go to the phone. It looks like a breaking ball that he tries on the 3-2 pitch, and it is almost got past Parrish. He got in front of it nicely, though. That was a tough pitch to handle.
Here comes the butter and egg man against Jack Morris. You know, Morris in the first 3 innings made only 27 pitches. He's made 18 pitches in the 4th inning alone. Fastball. Strike 1. Luzinski flied to center in the 2nd inning. So the table set for the big guy. Rudy Law at 3rd, Carlton Fisk at 2nd, Harold Baines at 1st. Check swing, hit back to Morris, goes to Parrish, over to Garbe, double play.
That was just a perfect play for the Tigers because he tries to check his swing. He's back on his heels. Can he get out of the box and doesn't have speed to begin with? And it was a question of just getting the ball to Parrish, and it's an easy double play. And now Roger Craig wants to talk to Jack Morris.
Yeah, first base open. Ron Kittle will be the batter, and Tom Paciorek to follow. Craig counseling Morris a bit. He also might have spotted something that Jack was doing to get a little wild, and they really smoothed his feathers down now.
Kittle is one of those hitters that really, it doesn't make any difference who's behind him because he is known as a hacker. You throw that ball, he's going to be swinging. He doesn't get cheated out of his swings.
Here's Ron Kittle, the left fielder with runners at second and third, and of course they represent the tying run. Carlton Fisk at third, Harold Baines at second. Got the inside corner for a strike, 0-1. Now he's got him 0-2. One thing that Kittle did not like about last year, he led the American League in one department, 150 strikeouts. 0-2. Of course, I love one of the quotes he had about being struck out. He said, hey, there's probably 100 guys selling cars back home who struck me out 4 times in a game.
He also said he was going for the Rookie of the Year award and the Cy Young award with all those strikeouts. That was quite a play by Lance Parrish. Don't want to minimize it, and I know I stick up for the catchers a lot, but that's the kind of play that never shows up in the box score. He had 2 quick strikes on him. He bounced the curveball, and Parrish made sure that he blocked the ball, and that gives a pitcher a lot of confidence. He's not afraid to throw that low pitch if he knows he's got a guy back there to block it.
1-2, the count to Ron Kittle with 2 out, runners at second and third.
Another one.
Down in there again, 2-2 the count. Doug Baer begins to loosen up in the Tiger bullpen.
Here's a replay on it, and Parrish really gets in front of it, and that's a lot to get in front, but he was right there, and he's setting him up for this pitch. Here's the pitch he wants it to happen, the 2-2 pitch.
And there's Baer. 2-2. Fastball, and he challenged him in on the hands. Still 2-2. Last year, Kittle had one of those long nights. Dave Righetti struck him out 4 times in a game. Do you ever strike out 4 times in a game?
I'm not trying to be funny or anything, but no, I didn't.
Probably wouldn't let you bat the 4th time.
You said that.
2-2. 2-0 Detroit, bottom of the 4th. Just did he swing? No swing, says McClellan. So the first base umpire, Tim McClellan, saying no. 3-2 to Ron Kittle.
What do you think? Watch it. I don't think he went around.
First base open, and they're pitching to Kittle. They had 100 RBIs last year. 3-2. Fastball fouled away. And that stung a little bit. Kittle wringing that left hand.
Kittle has more power than Paciorek, but you got to believe that Paciorek, the on-deck hitter, is a better hitter. And if you're going to go get somebody, this would be the guy because his strike zone would be just a little bit bigger than Paciorek's.
Full count. Baines at second, Fisk at third. Fastball fouled away. It's 2-0 Detroit on a 2-run home run in the second inning by Chet Lemon. The Sox are still looking for their first hit. Morris had retired 9 in a row, then walked 3 in a row in the 4th, and got Lazinski to hit into a double play. 3-2 to Kittle. Got him. So Morris makes a lot of pitches and then relies on his favorite weapon, the strikeout. The Sox lead 2. It's 2-0 Detroit at the end of 4. We'll be right back after these messages from your local station.
Thursday, it's the premiere of The Duck Factory, a new comedy about daffy animators and the characters they create. From the producers of The Mary Tyler Moore Show comes The Duck Factory.
Conquest Turbo Coupe. Car and Driver says this 2.6-liter 4 with fuel injection and balanced shafts is a nice piece of work. Feels like an engine that's bigger than it really is. Motor Trend called it one of the slipperiest and quickest sports GTs in the country. Conquest Turbo. Built to battle it out with RX-7, ZX, Supra. Imported for Dodge and Plymouth. Built by Mitsubishi to conquer you and the road. Now that's a purpose.
It just wasn't right, answering to some big corporation. That's why we bought our winery back. So we could make wine our way, the Colony way. Some of us go back generations here at Colony, and we want to make wine we're proud of. Wine that won't play second fiddle to anyone. Not Paul Masson, not Almondon, no one. And we're making it. Because now that we own Colony again, we don't have to answer to anyone but ourselves and you.
As we contemplate the future, as we seek security, there are so many good financial plans we've heard. But our money builds up faster, and from risk we're always free. With our GNA annuities, tax deferred. Retirement comes closer constantly, but our money's safe and there are no fees. It's earning high interest and it's guaranteed.
Sports for LA with Andy Lascano, 5:30 tonight.
Comiskey Park, Chicago. Going way back to 1910 when they opened it up, and it's a great way to begin 1984. Good ball game. The Tigers and the Sox, premier pitching, Jack Morris and Floyd Bannister. And this telecast presented by authority of Major League Baseball may not be reproduced or retransmitted in any form without the express written consent of Major League Baseball. I'm Vin Scully along with Joe Garagiola, and it'll be Chet Lemon followed by Kurt Gibson and then Tom Brookins in the fifth. Floyd Bannister allowing the home run to Lemon. He also allowed a leadoff single to Whitaker. Floyd has struck out 3, has not walked a batter. Here is Lemon, who hit it out in the second inning. Into the fifth we go. 1-0. When the White Sox won by 20 and won 99 games, they literally dismantled the Western Division. Against the East, however, they struggled. The 1-0 pitch on the way. Probably you would not get an argument for those who watch the American League day after day to say the American League East might be the best division of all 4 in the big leagues. Maybe. 2-0. Shot foul, and that spun Gramis around, and the count 2-1.
I would agree to that.
You know, when you think about it. Yeah. And a team that everyone is talking about and wants to take a good look at this year would be Toronto. Two and one, the count at Chet Lemon. Fastball, and that's hooked into the left field corner for a base hit. Kittle over to cut it off, and can't. By the time he knocks it into foul territory, Lemon is at second base with a double.
There was no doubt about it. He really hit that ball hard. Kittle tries to cut it off and kind of kicks it around, but there was no chance to hold Lemon to a single.
So Chet Lemon opens up with a bullet into the corner for a double, and of course that's particularly painful here. Lemon played for the White Sox from 1975 through 1981. And among other things, ironically, he hit the 5,000th home run in White Sox history. And would you believe he hit it against Detroit? Strike to Kirk Gibson. Gibby walked in the second inning. Detroit, 2 runs, 3 hits. White Sox, no runs, no hits.
He's trying to get a ball that he can pull, at least get the ground ball. But Bannister knows that, and he just hit that outside corner and just made 2 good pitches.
Gibson hit 15 home runs last year, but only 1 against a left-hander. Sliced foul out of play. The left-hander who surrendered the home run, Dave Righetti. 2-2 the count to Kirk Gibson. We're in the top of the fifth. Detroit 2 on Chet Lemon's 2-run home run, and the White Sox nothing. Down and away, 1-2. The Sox with an infield of Pashorek and Cruz, Fletcher and Vance Law, an outfield of Kittle, Rudy Law, and Harold Baines, Carlin Fisk behind the plate, and the brilliant young left-hander Floyd Bannister on the hill. 1-2. Spun it, and it's hit foul down the left field line and back into the lower deck. Kind of a roundhouse curveball, and Gibson just trying to protect the plate.
That's one of those pitches you hope that you catch him by surprise and they take it, but he was able to just get enough of it to foul it off. Bannister's staying to the outside part of that plate. He doesn't want to try to jam him to where he hits the little ground ball to the right side and they pick up a base with an out.
They're playing him away. There's a huge gap in right center field. And he pulled it anyway, and it goes by Pashorek and down the line. Lemon will score, and into second base goes Gibson as he drilled it right by Pashorek. I've got to believe that was a mistake. With the center fielder playing way over in left center, he gave him a ball he could pull with a 1-2 count. It'll go as a base hit, of course, a double.
And there was no doubt that he was going to second base all the way. As soon as he left the batter's box, he had second base on his mind. Watch the pitch. It looked like it was a little bit to the outside part of the plate, but it looked like right down the middle. On the replay, it was right down the middle. It cost him because now Gibson's on at second base, nobody out, and Brookins has to hit that ground ball to the right side. This is what he's in the lineup for.
Brookins hit into a force play in the second inning, and he's going to bunt, and it's out in front of the plate. Fisk will throw him out to Pashorek. So on the sacrifice, Brookins gets Gibson to third. It is 3-0 in favor of the Tigers. And the leadoff man, Lou Whitaker, coming up. Now, with a runner at third, Whitaker's single fly to left. The Sox bring the infield up on the left side. They also bring up Pashorek. Only Cruz is about halfway, the second baseman. The Sox get a right-hander up in the bullpen. It is 3-0 Detroit. Ground ball down to Cruz. He'll go to the plate to Fisk. He didn't get the tag. The run is in.
Cruz couldn't get enough on that throw. He kind of flipped it underhanded, and Gibson was off with the crack of the bat. Watch the throw. He flips it underhand, sails high, and Gibson slides in there.
Boy, does he run well.
And runs hard. He runs hard. That's one of those plays that when you're on third base, as soon as the ball is hit, you hit for home plate. Cruz knew that, and you can see he beat the tag.
Fisk tried to block him with his left foot, but the foot was more or less on home plate as opposed to up the line where he could have hooked him. So Trammell the batter, Whitaker at first. It's a 2-run fifth inning, and Detroit leading 4-0. And there he goes on a pitch out. Fisk down to his shortstop, Fletcher. They got him. So Carlin Fisk shoots down Lou Whitaker.
And he had a good throw with the pitch out. Sometimes you get a bad one. That was nice. Room service high, and the throw is right there. Whitaker easy out.
Tough tag, though, for Fletcher. He's got to get a hand.
Doesn't have much of a target when they come in head first like that. But if you got that ball in time, you usually get the job done.
Trammell hit into a double play and lined out to left. 0 for 2. Strike. 1 ball, 1 strike. Detroit, 4 runs, 4 hits. The White Sox, no runs, no hits. We're in the 5th inning.
you got to give Gibson a lot of credit in this inning because his speed got him to second. He was thinking double as soon as he hit the ball. He moves over to third on the bunt, and as soon as the ball is hit by Whitaker, in he comes. So he kind of manufactured that run.
Off speed, missing. So Bannister now in a hole 3-1. The fellow they call the Gray Flamingo, Tom Brennan, is throwing in the Sox bullpen. And once you see him pitch, you'll never forget him. There's a hot one at third, and staying with it is Vance Law to throw him out. So Trammell bangs to third. That'll do it for Detroit, but not before they pick up 2 runs on back-to-back doubles. And at the end of 4 1/2, Tigers 4, White Sox nothing.
I'm Spike from Job's. How do you help keep your trees
tall, green, and handsome?
With Job's Tree Spikes. Watch. Surface fertilizers can get partially washed away, but Job's continuously feeds vital nutrients where it counts, at the roots, so your tree looks
tremendous. Thanks to Job's Tree Spikes.
Job's Spikes for shrubs and young trees, too. Job's does the job at the roots.
Okay, guys, you're on your own.
Here's to good friends.
Ready? Ready as I'll ever be.
Tonight is kind of special.
Whoa! Last one down by the lower brow.
Beer will pour. Must say something more somehow.
So tell me, were you scared?
No.
Tonight.
Me too.
Let it be
Today, the most exciting new ideas in the hotel business come from Holiday Inn.
Now Holiday Inn is a better place to be.
Now this is better.
Much better.
Looks much better.
Far better.
At Holiday Inn Hotels, our satellite Earth Station network beams hit movies right to your room at no extra charge. Innovations like this make us #1.
We're #1, your worldwide host. First with what you want the most.
Call 800-HOLIDAY.
Holiday Inn is a better place to be.
Clear the streets. There's some new boys in town. Clear the streets. The boys got their cars with them. Clear the streets for the CART Long Beach Grand Prix. Clear the streets for Speed World.
Len Berman in New York, and why are the Orioles trailing Minnesota 7-0? Defense, or rather lack of it. Rich Dower throws it away. The world champs have now committed 4 errors. They're in the 6th. The Twins continue to cruise. Back to Chicago now.
Boy, Len, I can't believe that. 4 errors. You know, since they first started the Gold Glove Award, guess what team has won the most of any team in the big league? Baltimore. High foul off to the right and out of play on the count of 1-1. We can duck in a score of our own. Texas leading the Yankees 1-0 at the end of an inning. Tom Paciorek, Vance Law, and Scott Fletcher. Tommy struck out in the second, 0 for 1. Look out. 1-1. To count. We saw Jack Morris going to his mount, but he was on the grass. He retired 9 in a row, walked 3 in a row, got Lozinski on a check swing double play, and struck out Kittle. Now he's in the 5th inning working on Paciorek. Busted bat ground ball to third. Tom Brookins across to Garbe. Thing was in on the hands. 1 down. Vance Law will be coming up. Scott Fletcher to follow here in the 5th inning. Tigers 4 runs, 4 hits. The White Sox no runs, no hits. Ball 1, 1-0. Next Saturday, Joe and I will be at Yankee Stadium in New York There'll be tremendous drama and theater if all things go accordingly. It will be Tom Seaver returning to New York in a White Sox uniform, going up against the New York Yankees.
I bet even old George will be at the ballpark that day.
I think he'll find a way. 2-0 to Vance Law. In there. 2-1. Foul back into screen. 2-2. Vance came to the Chicago White Sox in a deal with the Pittsburgh Pirates. Ross Baumgarten, Claude Edge went over to Pittsburgh. 2-2. Fastball fouled away. Then we see John Tudor, talking about Pittsburgh. John Tudor, the left-hander from Boston, who was traded to Pittsburgh for Mike Easler. Well, Easler had a pinch-hit two-run home run in his debut for Boston to beat the Angels, and Tudor had a no-hitter for a while. Last night it went on to beat the Dodgers, so they are welcomed in their respective leagues. 2-2. Ball 3. On deck, waiting his turn, Scott Fletcher, the shortstop. And it's high. That's 4 walks given up for Jack Morris, who was sailing along until the 4th inning when he walked the bases full. Though in balancing his books, 4 walks, 5 strikeouts. 1 out, and the batter Scott Fletcher, who grounded to third. I would think, Joe, one of the problems on a cold day like this for the pitcher, you can get warm, but how do you stay loose when you go in the dugout?
Well, about the way we're doing it, with jackets and going inside and whatever.
Right. I didn't see any heaters of any kind in either dugout, but you can see gloves and almost football jackets to try and stay warm.
Sometimes they have those hand warmers like the duck hunters use.
0-1, the count of Scott Fletcher. 1-1. They told us it was 50 degrees at the start of the game. I have a feeling it's colder, and it might be reflected in Morris's problems. The first 3 innings, he made 27 pitches. He made 29 when he went wild in the 4th inning. And he's struggling now. So the only way he's keeping warm is making a lot of pitches. High pop fly on the infield. Lou Whitaker dancing around, the wind playing with it. 2 down. You can check the flags here, but it's more than just coming in. They have changed a little bit. It is more and more coming off the lake and getting colder.
And you also got a break between the scoreboard and the stands, and then the lower stands, you got an opening so it comes in there. It swirls. The flags will tell you something. There's the break that I'm talking about. And as you look at the opening down in the lower stands, that's a factor because that wind comes whistling through. So there are many factors in this ballpark. You just have to be on your toes and just check everything at all times.
They're not holding Vance Law, and Cruz rolls it to Garvey, so he was off the bag and he had an easy opportunity to pick it up. No runs, no hits, a man left at the end of 5. It's 4-0 Detroit. Coming up, Barbaro Garvey, Lance Parrish, and Larry Herndon.
You're about to see a demonstration of power, the power of Ford's new 5.8-liter high-output V8. We've attached identical gliders to a Ford, Dodge, and Chevy pickup. The most powerful pickup will get its glider airborne first, and Ford's glider gets up first. Ford is the most powerful mid-size V8, 17% more powerful than Dodge. And compared to Chevy, it's 27% more powerful. And this power means more hill-climbing torque, too. Just another powerful reason why Ford pickups stay on top. The best-built American trucks are built Ford top.
Today, you need an oil this good. You need Quaker State. I want all the performance this engine can deliver. I need an oil this good.
Today's four-cylinder engines work so hard, they demand an oil this good.
These motor oils are refined exclusively from Pennsylvania-grade crude. Quaker State is so good, it's America's best-selling motor oil.
That engine's my bread and butter. I need an oil this good.
Old cars, new cars. Big cars, small cars. Today you need Quaker State. You need an oil this good.
Here's to good friends.
Terrific reunion.
Yeah, the last time we were here, we made history. It's kind of special.
I stole that ball.
I made the pass.
I made the shot. Make that shot again. Who'll buy you the low and drop? The beer will pour. Must say something more. Hey, what can I tell you? We still got it. Never lost it. Let it be low and brown.
Len Berman in New York, and the New York Yankees are at it once again. Here's what happened last night in Texas. Score tied, Yankees and Rangers, 8th inning. Ground ball to shortstop Bobby Meacham. He throws it away for the error. The winning run scored for Texas. Today, Meacham's been sent down to the minors, all the way down to Double-A ball, I guess because he made the error. Shades of Charlie Finley, Mike Andrews in the 73 series. Back to Chicago.
Boy, that is a tough break. Bobby Meacham from the big leagues to Double-A on one error. Got to be a little more to it than that, I would hope. The first thing that Ralph Haug did to Jackie Gutierrez, who threw one away against the Angels, was to call him in and say, hey, there's 162, don't bat an eye. So one manager says, don't worry, the other one says, see you later. Barbaro Garbey on a strike, 0-1. Garbey struck out in the first inning, flied to right in the third. He can play first, third, or left field. And Sparky likes to play him in that order. No, says Durwood Merrill. And the count 1-1. For a Cuban, I would think this is bitter cold. Oh. Two and one to count to Garbey here in the 6th inning. Floyd Bannister gave up a 2-run home run to Lemon, and then Lemon's double in the 5th inning led to another 2. Fouled away. So Bannister would be pitching almost as well as Jack Morris, except for Chet Lemon. And he's down 4-0. Given Garbey just about everything he has to go 3-2. The Tigers will go home after this weekend series. They open up with Texas at Tiger Stadium Tuesday. Ground ball to the right side, and that's Julio Cruz to get him. One away. I'll tell you, you're not going to hit a ball through that infield today on the ground because it is really a slow infield. It's heavy. That ball that Gibson hit was a shot. The batter now is Lance Parrish, who walked, and then in the 4th inning hit a shot off the leg of Bannister. It was deflected to Cruz, who threw him out. So Lance is 0 for 1. He did score. He was aboard when Chet Lemon hit it out. Ball 1. Parrish, needless to say, is not superstitious. He wears number 13. Have a reason for bringing that up because we are in the business of telling you what's going on here and not getting cute with superstitions. So the big story really with Detroit leading 4-0 is the fact that Jack Morris has not allowed a hit through 5 innings, and it's going to start to build. There's a shot, short hop, backhanded by Law. Oh, what a big league play by Vance Law. He really made that play look easy, too. Watch his reflexes. He's ready to go. Backhands it. He's got the short hop. Up he comes, finds his man, and across the diamond it goes. Big league play it was, man. I marvel at people who have reflexes. Look at him do the Toulouse-Lautrec, one knee and then the other. The
got so close to the plate, still able to come up with it. And with 2 down, here's Larry Herndon. Herndon flied out, struck out 0 for 2. Fouled away. Did you have any superstitions when you played? I mean, you yourself?
No, I really didn't. Even as a broadcaster, I can never understand why you were not supposed to say a guy had a no-hitter because
nonsense.
Everybody knows that the pitcher's got it going, including the pitcher most of the time, because if he doesn't know, the opposing team will tell him.
Sure. 0-1. 1-1.
Did you have any, or do you?
Oh, no.
I think that one of the great superstitions, Greenberg had one. He said he always liked to touch every base when he hit a home run.
That's the best one.
That's a great one.
There, you just saw those smoke rings up on the board. Sox 0-0-0. Just to look ahead, when the Sox hit in the bottom of the 6th, they have Rudy Law, Carlin Fisk, and Harold Baines. Meanwhile, with 2 out on the top of the 6th, it is 4-0 Detroit. Herndon with the count 1-2. 2 balls, 2 strikes. Herndon, since he came over to from the National League, has done a great job. Meanwhile, talking about a great job, there's Jack Morris sitting between Roger Craig on his left, Lance Parrish, his catcher, on the right. Ground ball to the right side. Cruz is there. Throws a little sinker to Pashorek. And the Tigers are gone 1-2-3. And at the end of 5.5 innings, Detroit, 4 runs, 4 hits. And the White Sox, no runs, no hits, no errors.
You know people like me. We're young, ambitious. These are the uniforms we wear at work. But these are the uniforms we wear when we serve part-time in the National Guard and the Reserves. You see, in the Guard and Reserves, you earn extra money. So you not only serve your country, you serve yourself. Yet while you serve, you can live at home and keep your full-time job. Because in the Guard and Reserves, you don't have to give up one life to live another.
The National Guard and the Reserves. Talk to your local recruiter.
I see your desk got a computer on it.
Yeah, smart desk. Going to the game?
Me, I don't need a computer. I just call Bert.
What if Bert's not in?
I wait till Bert's back. Who's playing?
Detroit. You know, I don't know how I managed before.
Well, machines and I just don't mix. Know what I mean?
Sure. I'll see you at the game.
Yeah, actually, I've got a little more to do.
Some people don't need an IBM computer on their desk.
That you, Bert?
The Smart Desk is for people who do.
He's at the game.
The double steal. One of the most exciting plays in baseball. And here's an exciting double steal from Monroe. Buy one Monroe-Matic, America's #1 shock absorber for cars, and get the second shock at half price. Or get the same great deal in Monroe's #1 pickup and van shock, the Monroe Magnum 60. Either way, 50% off the second shock. Great call, finally. The Monroe double steal, where you always score.
Monroe-Matic for cars, Magnum 60 for trucks. On sale now.
Mr. and Mrs. America, you made your own homemade comedy tapes. You sent them in, and now you can watch them on the Homemade Comedy Specials, Sunday.
Well, we're going to the bottom of the 6th inning here in Comiskey Park, and a dandy shaping up now. 4-0 Detroit, and it'll be Rudy Law, followed by Carlin Fisk, and then Harold Baines to see if they can finally break through against Jack Morris. Behind Morris, you have Garbe, Whitaker, Trammell, and Brookins, Herndon, Lemon, and Gibson, Parrish behind the plate. Law robbed of a hit leading off on a good catch by Kirk Gibson and walked in the 4th inning. Ball 1. Tommy Brookins playing 2 steps in on the grass at 3rd, and Garbe has shortened up at 1st. 1-0. Good breaking ball. 1 ball, 1 strike. At the end of 5 innings, the Phillies are leading Cincinnati 3-1. And another dandy, and that's that split-fingered fastball that has been giving the White Sox fits today. The bottom just drops out of it. And the count 1-2. 20-game winner, Jack Morris. 1-2. Fastball got him looking. So Rudy Law down on strikes. That's a half a dozen strikeouts for Jack Morris. Morris last year in May had a record of 3-5. Boy, did he turn the ship around. From then on, he was 17-8. And he is a workhorse. He worked over 290 innings last year. Here's Pudge. Carlton Fisk struck out and walked. 0 for 1. Outfield fanned out straight away. Breaking ball, pop foul behind the plate. Lance Parrish coming back to the base of the screen. No play. You have to have pretty good memory to go that far back. And as we mentioned, Virgil Trucks had no-hitters. He had 2 of them in 1952, and then the first no-hitter by a Tiger pitcher was George Mullen in 1912. Jack Morris had a long way to go, and Tony La Russa trying to break the spell somehow. Strike 1 pitch. 1-1. One ball, 1 strike to count to Fisk. Harold Baines on deck. Tigers 4, Sox 0. Bottom of the 6th inning. Fastball stayed inside. 2-1. Morris has walked 4, struck out 6. Jack last year beat the Sox twice with a 6-hitter and a 5-hitter, doing it on back-to-back starts in August. Two and 1. Fastball bunted up on third. You're going to let it roll foul. And the count 2-2.
I think Brookins was ready for it, though, Vin. It had been a close play, but he comes charging hard.
All's fair in love and war, and in attempts to break up no-hitters. I saw Gus Bell break up I think it was Carl Erskine pitching a no-hitter with a perfect bunt in the 8th inning.
A lot of people get upset at that, but I see nothing wrong with it. Any way to get on.
Yeah. 2-2. One away. Infield back, outfield fanned out straight away. Breaking ball, a little dipper, maybe a slider got him. So Fisk strikes out, and that's 7 strikeouts for Jack Morris. Morris's high last year, he had a dozen strikeouts.
Here's a look at that strikeout pitch. He got a little bit higher, I think, than he wanted it.
So the batter now is Harold Baines, who struck
Look at that strikeout pitch. He got a little bit higher, I think, than he wanted it.
So the batter now is Harold Baines, who struck out and walked 0 for 1. Boy, they're hacking up there. Nobody's eyeballing anything.
Oh, they're not hoping to hit the ball. They're really cutting loose. They're hacking is right. I think that Baines is the toughest out in this Chicago White Sox lineup.
Baines up there hitting .222. Held up with 1 ball, 1 strike. 2 out in the 6th inning. Detroit 4, White Sox nothing. And of course the big story building from here on in. No hits for the Sox. On deck, Greg Luzinski. Good pitch, 1 and 2.
Now's the time to throw. There's Luzinski. Now's the time to throw that split-fingered thing that was really rolling off the table. Give it that little extra.
The Bull had 1 shot with the bases loaded, and he checked swing back to the mound and hit into a double play. 1 and 2. Fastball hit slowly to third. Brookins charging, picks it up, goes, gets him. And we've got 6 innings where Jack Morris has not allowed a hit. So at the end of 6, Detroit 4, Sox nothing. We'll be back after these messages from your local station.
Sunday night, Father Murphy returns.
Ain't that so?
All the adventure, all the action, and all the warmth of America's best-loved family drama, Sunday on Father Murphy.
How does the Chevrolet Cavalier CS stack up against other sedans? Well, Toyota Corolla LE has 20% less horsepower and less trunk space. Nissan Sentra XE has 22% less horsepower and less trunk space, too. One thing that isn't less is price. The imports cost more. With Chevy Cavalier, you come out on top. See your Southern California Chevrolet dealer and get what you're driving for.
This bartender's the next big league pitcher and loves to serve fire-brewed Strohs. See what I mean? That was his fastball. That was the curve. Look out. Wild pitch.
What was that?
Relief pitcher.
From one beer lover to another Stroh's.
There's nothing else quite like it. It sparkles and it shines. It's super excitement. It's supernatural. It's one of a kind. So let yourself go. Cast for magic. Don't you know it's all here? It's everything you wanted to give.
The U.S. dollar is up here, so call your travel agent or our tourism office in Los Angeles.
Shape Up on Morning Stretch, weekdays at 6 on Channel 4.
Len Berman again in New York, and Pirate relief pitcher Rod Scurry has entered a drug rehabilitation facility today. He has admitted to a drug problem. He'd already appeared in 2 games for Pittsburgh. In 1 game against San Diego, he was wild, threw 8 straight balls, 3 pitches nearly hit Greg Nettles. So that's the story on Pirate reliever Rod Scurry. Back to Chicago.
Okay, Len, that's bad news for the individual and for all of us concerned. I remember that there was a recent story in the paper about this huge drug bust. I think it was a lieutenant in the Los Angeles Police Department, and somebody said, hey, that's great. That's a big drug bust. And the officer said, yes, but what is our prime concern? It means there's more of it on the street. And now there's another fellow who's paid the price. Well, let's get back to the game now. And this is the fellow they call the Gray Flamingo. Now, you got to watch his left leg. He will just freeze for a moment. Watch this, right there. Is that something? Breaking ball strike. I've never seen anybody with that kind of a delivery.
His whole delivery now, he's like he's pitching off the stress. Now watch him back off. Watch his left foot step back, and then up, stop, and throw.
Jammed him, fouled it back as Allen fouls it off. For Tom Brennan, of course, as we take a look at his delivery, he's born here in Chicago. Watch this. That's something.
It's a variation of the great Satchel Paige's hesitation pitch, and they've argued that they protested it, that it's illegal, it's this, that, and the other thing, and he doesn't do it for any other reason except to get the batter out. That is his natural delivery, and it's been effective for him.
Breaking ball takes care of Rod Allen, and Fisk tags him for the out. One away. So Tom Brennan strikes out his man. The book on Floyd Bannister, he went 6 innings, allowed 4 runs, 4 hits, 2 walks, and 3 strikeouts. But the big man was Chet Lemon. He could not get Lemon, and Lemon wrecked Bannister. Lemon hit a 2-run home run in the 2nd inning, and then doubled to begin a 2-run 5th inning. Slider for a strike. Brennan, by the way, got that nickname, the Gray Flamingo, in Latin America. Lemon now will test him. All breaking balls. He hasn't thrown a fastball yet. He came out of the Cleveland organization.
He's no spring chicken. He's been around.
Yeah, he's 31. There's the first fastball we've seen, and they check no swing at first as Tim McClellan. And the count 2-1. With Detroit hitting, I don't mean anticlimactic, but I think right now with a 4-0 ball game, you get so at this stage in the 7th inning where you can't wait for the White Sox to come up and hit or not hit, as the case may be. Fastball fouled away. So just to tell you, when the White Sox come up in the 7th inning and try to break through against Jack Morris' no-hit attempt, they'll have Greg Luzinski, Ron Kittle, and Tom Paciorek.
You really have to root for a guy like Brennan, who bounces around and then figures out a way. And I'm sure he took a lot of razzing for it, but he found a way to get the big play.
Breaking ball got him looking. We've seen him throw 1 fastball. And with breaking balls, he has struck out Allen and Lemon. And the batter now is Kirk Gibson. Yeah, he has, Joe. He's been pitching professionally since '74. And in looking over his numbers, he never really did anything outstanding. He was 9-3 at Tacoma a few years ago. That's about it. Gibson has walked and doubled. Drove in a run, scored a run.
Gives a lot of credit to his wife, who was a softball pitcher, and she'd go to spring training and all that, and she'd follow him right along and join the local softball team. So it's a sports family.
There's a slow breaking ball that missed. 2-0 the count.
Gray Flamingo.
2-0 to Gibson. Show him a fastball, but that's not his out pitch. Ball 3. Detroit 4, White Sox nothing. In there. 3-1. Be interesting if Detroit gets a man on base to watch that delivery, and how whether a base runner can somehow take advantage of that leg that seems to hang in midair. And he missed to walk in. So with 2 down, a walk to Gibson, and Brookins coming up. Brookins hit into a force play and sacrificed 0 for 1. There is a rhythm to pitching. There is a rhythm to hitting. Sometimes you would think when a pitcher has such a deliberate, rhythmical beat to his delivery, that would make it easier for the hitter.
Oh, I would and wouldn't. I mean, because he is varying a little bit, I'm sure.
Let's watch Gibson now. We've got that man on. Oh, he came over there in a hurry.
Sparky's got to gamble here because you got your 9th place hitter up. You don't want to lead off with him, but if he wants to find out if he can run on this guy, this would be a good time to do it.
Paciorek holding a corner. Be very... What's that left leg now? No, he doesn't use it at all. It's inside. Okay, well, that's answered. By the way, Minnesota punching holes in Baltimore. It is now 14-2 Minnesota, which brings up a poignant human interest story of Minnesota. Sure hope that kid Jim Eisenreich does well.
I sure hope he does too. I'm really pulling for that kid. He can do it all.
1-0 to Tommy Brookins.
He didn't do it on that last pitch. I wonder if that's his style.
Yeah, I don't know.
Don't you keep waiting for him to stop there now?
That's right. Gibson trying to explore that move. Out. 1-1 to Tommy Brookins with 2 out, top of the 7th inning. Detroit 4 and the White Sox nothing. Tom Brennan in relief of Floyd Bannister. One and one. The count to Tom Brookins. Well, for all you folks who were watching Minnesota knock Baltimore hither, thither, and yon, welcome to our game. And the big man is Jack Morris, who has a no-hitter through 6 innings. The Tigers leading 4-0, and Tom Brennan in relief of Floyd Bannister. And he is after Gibson, but he got back. And had he slid back, he would have been out, but he went back with a hand.
That ball looked like it was there ahead of him. Let's see what it looks like on the replay. He had him leaning. Ball was there, and he got over the glove. That was it. Gibson made that play by putting his hand over the glove.
1-1 to Tom Brookins. Well, if they sent Gibson just to explore Brennan's move, they are sure turning the pages on him now.
I tell you, Brennan is winning as we look at Jack Morris, who's got that no-hitter going.
1-1 to Tom Brookins. A breaking ball lifted to left field. Kittle is right there, and that will be that. No runs, no hits, a man left. Can Jack Morris do it? We'll find out in a moment. But right now, here's another edition of the 7th inning stretch.
Old Spice presents the 7th inning stretch, brought to you by Old Spice antiperspirant and new improved stick deodorant.
In 1954, Harmon Killebrew signed as a bonus baby and began a lean 4-year apprenticeship with the old Washington Senators. When the team moved to Minnesota 5 years later, Killebrew suddenly exploded into greatness, pounding 49 homers and 140 RBIs to earn an MVP award. Always liable to hit a baseball out of sight, Killebrew went on to capture 6 home run titles and was twice the league's RBI champion. In the field, Killebrew played third base with quick hands and a brave chest, and the killer was the main enforcer in the Twins' pennant drive of 1965. Each powerhouse swing was a wild adventure, and Harmon is 5th in lifetime homers, but 3rd in all-time whips. Harmon Killebrew, a one-man reign of terror for 22 years.
Now you owe me $4 million, Dad.
$3 million.
Want to go double or nothing? Bet you my deodorant's stronger than yours.
Oh, you'll lose. My deodorant's Old Spice.
But mine's new improved Old Spice.
New improved Old Spice with 25% more odor fighters. Extra strong and lasts all day long. Helps keep you smelling fresh long into the night.
Hey, you're right. That new Old Spice is still working.
New improved Old Spice. Extra strong. Lasts long.
Old Spice, an official sponsor of the U.S. track and field team.
Well, the line score telling you Detroit leading Chicago 4-0. The White Sox still looking for their first hit. If you weren't with us in the 4th inning, Jack Morris went to his mouth with his left hand. He had slipped the glove, went to his mouth with his left hand, and a ball was automatically charged against the count by Derwood Merrill. Whether that upsetted Morris or no, nevertheless, he turned around and walked 3 in a row. And with nobody out on the bases loaded, Luzinski on a check swing hit back to Morris, who started the double play at the plate. And then Kittle struck out. Now the same Luzinski coming up here in the 7th inning. Greg flied to center and then hit into that check swing double play. The Bull hitting 111. It looks like a picket fence up on the scoreboard. Fastball to show it to him, 1-0. Jack Morris, who had a one-hitter in his career against Minnesota, 1-0. In there. That one hitter at Minnesota was back in 1980. One and one to Lazinski. Sox scored twice in the second. Detroit scored twice in the second on a 2-run home run by Chet Lemon. And Detroit scored 2 more in the 5th. And now we're in the 7th. Fastball. 2-2. That didn't look like that split-fingered fastball, but that was sinking pretty rapidly.
That could have been that hard slider that they always talk about with him.
Well, we have now welcomed all who were doing other things and watching other moments, and hopefully to a great moment at Comiskey Park. There's ball 3. And for those of you who are joining us, we're in the bottom of the 7th. Detroit leading the White Sox 4-0, and Jack Morris has not allowed a hit through 6 innings. And he has Lazinski, Kittle, and Pashorek. And he walks the bull. That's 5 walks to go with his 7 strikeouts, and the battle will be Ron Kittle. Morris has had one man throw back of him in that wild 4th inning. Doug Bear got up. Kittle popped up in the 2nd inning, and then when Kittle came up in the 4th, at the time, the tying runs were at 2nd and 3rd and 2 out, and Morris struck him out. High fly ball into right field. Gibson is there, the wind blowing it. 1 away. By the way, and especially now, we should look over at first base, because Dave Bergman is now at first, taking over for Garbe. And of course, Bergman, recently acquired by Detroit, is one of the better fielding first basemen in the game today. So Bergman, and that's tough. You talk about a tough role, coming off the bench on a cold day to play defense and to be backing up a guy working on a no-hitter. And Bergman's got the pressure. Did he swing? Yes. They didn't have to look at McClellan. Durwood Merrill, the plate umpire, wound up and indicated. Strike 1. So Jack Morris with the count 0-1 to Pashorek. Tom struck out, grounded out. And lined at Bergman. Goes to the bag too late. Well, they put him in there for just that, and Dave was there to grab it.
Didn't have a chance, Vin, but he was playing behind the runner, Lazinski, because Lazinski no speed at all, and as you can see, not even much of a lead because he couldn't be doubled off at first base. So Sparky's defensive move paid off. The fact that he also had him behind the base runner was a factor.
Now, Greg Walker is going to come in to hit. Walker will bat for Vance Law.
Lance Parrish out talking to Jack Morris. They just want to get together as to how they're going to pitch to Walker. Just make sure they are together and no surprises, no trick pitches, and keep doing what you're doing.
By the way, we have a moment to give you the technical workings behind our network telecast. The Minnesota-Baltimore network, that portion watching the Twins and the Orioles, they left. They have been with us for a while. They will go back to their game, and hopefully we'll be back here for whatever drama we will have. And meanwhile, now here is Walker. Ball 1. Greg led the American League with 15 pinch hit RBIs last year. They wondered here yesterday, Tony La Russa wondered why Sparky Anderson did not make what he thought was the ordinary move. And one reason that Anderson managed the way he did yesterday was to make sure Walker would not get in the game. There isn't much he can do about it now, of course. But Walker is a dandy. Two out in the 7th, 4-0 Detroit. So Jack Morris, who has had 2 balls really hit, a long out by Rudy Law that was flagged by Kirk Gibson in front of the bullpen windows in right field, and then that bullet off Pashorik's bat that was speared by Dave Bergman. 1-2. Little Nubber wide of first. Bergman fields, flips to Morris in time, and we got it going now. Jack Morris has not allowed a hit for 7 innings. And at the end of 7 in Comiskey Park, Detroit 4, White Sox nothing.
Introducing new Gillette Foamy Gel. The gel that gives you more than any other gel. More lubricants, better beard setup, more lubricants, smooth takeoff. More lubricants. For the closeness and comfort you want in a shave, get new Gillette Foamy Gel, the gel that gives you more.
Dorothy, is that your new Ford Tempo?
Sure is.
How come a world champion went for a Tempo?
Well, I appreciate precision, and Tempo handles beautifully.
Handles well, huh?
Yes, and Tempo's front-wheel drive is terrific in snow and ice.
I guess you know about ice.
A little. And I like Tempo's smooth flowing lines. Very European.
You know that Tempo's now outselling all the imports in America?
Doesn't surprise me at all.
Dorothy, is it hard to drive with your skates on? Tempo, designed to do everything a modern car should. It just looks better doing it. Have you driven a Ford lately?
I see by your job application, you've scored 6 million on the video game Munchman.
Yeah?
And I see you shot down 2 billion aliens from the planet Mongo.
Yeah.
You are good at computer games. So what do you know about computers?
If you're going to spend your time playing video games, why not play them on something that can also teach you about computing? Get a Commodore 64 or VIC-20. It's tough to grow up in a computer age without learning about computers. The American tradition continues from the house that Ruth built. It's a new season for Yogi with the inevitable Yankee controversy. And the Sordas Dodgers battle the Giants. The tradition is here. The memories are waiting next Saturday.
Well, what a great way for all of us at NBC Sports to open up 1984 baseball season, seeing whether Jack Morris can pitch a no-hitter or not.
And then next week, if everything goes right, we'll have Tom Seaver going back to New York, and I think my nose won't be quite as red next week.
I hope you make your plans to be with us, but let's not pitch a pitch of this one. As we go to the 8th inning, 4-0 Detroit. Tim Hewlett will now take over at third base after Walker batted for Law. Strike to Whitaker. There's Hewlett. Ground ball to the right side. Julio Cruz over to Pashorik. 1 away. 1 down in the 8th. Don't forget the 3rd round coverage of the Dinah Shore with 83 champion Amy Alcott against Nancy Lopez and Joanne Carner and our buddies Charlie Jones, Lee Trevino, Jay Randolph, John Brody, along with Kathy Whitworth telling you the story. That'll be right after baseball. Here's Alan Trammell, hit into a double play, lined out to left, grounded to third. Trammell is 0 for 3. Hitting 400. Slider, ball 1.
Texas 5-0 over the Yankees.
One ball, no strikes. Ball 2. Is that a final, Joe?
No.
And in the dugout, all he can do is sit and wait. Jack Morris. It's got to be building up in there. Fastball for a strike, 2-1. And to think ahead when the White Sox bat in the 8th inning. They are due to send up Scott Fletcher, Julio Cruz, and Rudy Law. Fastball hit and by Cruz. I think there are those who might feel he should have been in front of that ball. He tried to short hop it from the side, and it went through.
I'd give him an error myself. I thought he should have had that ball.
Yeah, he played it a little like the Matador with the Olay.
That's what he did. How do you do?
And they have not made any indication as yet as to how it'll be ruled. Meanwhile, the batter now is Dave Bergman. And it's going to go as a base hit. And the crowd hates it, and you can hear them react in the background. Cruz has had, some reputation of being a hot dog, and I think when you see him try to short hop a ball from the side like that, and he doesn't do it, why, the fans are going to get on him. What do they used to say when you played? Put a little mustard on him.
That's right. Get the big mustard jar out and a big brush and paint him.
Bergman could prove to be a very valuable asset to Detroit. A very, very good fielder, maybe as good as there is in either league. And a timely hitter. And the runner goes, Trammell, and the throw on a bounce, cuts through into center field, backed up, however, by Rudy Law. And so Trammell holds at second base.
I don't think Fisk anticipated the play at all. He wasn't in position to make that throw, and I think was surprised by it. He certainly was screened by Bergman, the left-hand batter, but watch Fisk now as he makes the play. He didn't really jump into action until it was a bit too late.
Trammell, who stole 30 last year to lead the Tigers, and Sparky was saying he's going to steal 50 this year. Well, he's on his way to doing it. For Trammell, he now has 3 stolen bases. This is the 4th game. Fouled away by Bergman.
The numbers that Sparky laid out on Trammell, to me, were amazing. 18 home runs, 60 RBIs, 50 stolen bases, and hit over 280. That's what he's hoping for. He said that he can do it.
You know, we were showing you before Alan Trammell and his figures compared to Robin Yount. Another interesting comparison is Trammell and Whitaker, his teammate. That's on the corner. Though Bergman eyeballing that one and pays a strike, and down he goes. So Brennan has struck out 3 in relief in an inning and 2/3. And the batter will be Lance Parrish. Give you an idea, last year, Trammell hit .319, Whitaker hit .320. And going into the season, Whitaker is hitting .282 lifetime to Trammell .280. And they are so close. Marvelous combination. Alan Trammell at second base, waiting to be picked up with 2 out in the 8th inning. 4-0 Detroit. And to repeat, Scott Fletcher, Julio Cruz, Rudy Law due up in the bottom of the 8th to see if they can break through against Jack Morris. Parrish walked in the 2nd inning, grounded out in the 4th, and again in the 6th. In the 6th inning, Vance Law made a fine play to get him. 2-0. Sinker hit to the hole, backhanded there at shortstop by Fletcher. The throw is just in time. Had it not been in time, Trammell would have scored from second base. So it's a good play by Fischorek to come up with that throw, or another run is in. No runs, 1 hit, a man left. At the end of 7 1/2, 4-0 Detroit.
Folks will tell you I got something going all the time, and I got ways to get the dirty work done for me. This is it. The new Honda TRX 200. On my ranch, that full suspension and electric starting comes in real handy. In my oil fields, I can really count on that shaft drive. At the resort I'm building, that reverse gear gets you out of tight spots. I like the TRX 200 so much I even got one, two for the office.
Welcome
You've turned the city over to the next shift. The rest of the night is yours.
to Miller Time.
Now comes your time with the best beer you can find, Miller High Life.
Bring your thirsty self right here. You've got the time. We've got the beer for what you have in mind. Welcome to Miller Time.
Old faces, new places. Now playing at a ballpark near you. Baseball fever. Catch it.
The preceding message was furnished by Major League Baseball.
We have a lot of drama building up in the bottom of the 8th inning as Jack Morris is 6 outs away from a no-hitter.
Here's where he really helped himself. Bergman comes up with it, and being a good athlete that he is, Morris covered, and they get Van's Law. That ended the 7th inning. He's working on a no-hitter, and he's got a tough hitter coming up, Ben.
Oh, well, now listen to this. A year ago, April the 15th, Milt Wilcox had a perfect game with 2 out in the bottom of the 9th inning here at Comiskey Park, and Jerry Hairston came off the bench and broke it up with a base hit. Last year, Hairston had 2 pinch hit home runs, and as you can see, one of them against Jack Morris. So Jerry Hairston trying to break it up, trying to get the White Sox back in the game. Detroit leading 4-0. Bergman, Whitaker, Trammell, Brookins, Herndon, Lemon, Gibson, Parrish behind the plate. And each man, of course, hoping to get a jump, hoping to make the play to keep it alive. And Jack Morris ready to work in the bottom of the 8th. Strike. The 2-3 balls that were really hit. Law's drive to deep right caught by Gibson. The shot by Peshorek that was flagged by Bergman. And a good play by Brookins to get Baines in the 6th inning. That's it. The others, routine outs. Morris has struck out 7 and walked 5.
He's pretty cool. He said, whenever you're ready, I'm ready.
Ground ball, backhanded by Bergman to Morris. Boy, I told you he's a dandy. And he just came in the game and he has saved Morris Bacon again.
That's a tough play, and he gets in front of it. He backhanded it, but that leg was right there. He would have been able to knock it down. And again, Morris, the good athlete, gets over there. Look at the determination on his face. He's going to get there in plenty of time if he's going to have a play, and he did, and there's one away.
And so Jack Morris is 5 outs away. And here is Julio Cruz, who struck out and grounded out. 0 for 2. There is no tougher job in baseball than coming in the late innings for defensive purposes. I think it's even tougher than pinch hitting because they expect you to field well. Comebacker to Morris, to Bergman, and he has 4 outs to go. Rudy Law will be the batter. Jack Morris, 4 outs away from a no-hitter with 2 out in the 8th inning, leading 4-0. Rudy Law hit the ball as hard as anybody. and that was leading off when he sent Gibson to the wall for his long out in the first inning. Rudy fly deep to right, walked and struck out. Fastball hit to Bergman. Dave feeding Morris, and Jack Morris is 3 outs away. And even the White Sox fans now are responding and reacting, and they are on their feet. At the end of 8, 4-0 Detroit and Jack Morris.
The double steal. One of the most exciting plays in baseball.
Comiskey Park, the fans are on their feet, rooting for Jack Morris. Morris trying to join some rather distinguished people, and Dave Bergman saved his bacon in the 8th inning with this stop and a sit-down throw to Morris coming over on a ball hit by Jerry Hairston, who had broken up Milt Wilcox's perfect game last year. And here we go in the 9th. Carlton Fisk, Harold Baines, and Greg Luzinski. Bob Feller, quite a few years ago, pitched a no-hitter against the White Sox on opening day. Fisk struck out, walked, and struck out again. Morris has struck out 7 while walking 5. Squirted to Bergman, right at the bag. 1 away. And now even the White Sox fans are cheering for Morris. Harold Baines will be coming up. Baines struck out, walked, and was out on a good play by Tommy Brooken. Boy, listen to this crowd. They're alive now. 2 outs to go. Ball 1. Strike. 1-1. The members of the cast. The star, Jack Morris. Lance Parrish behind the plate. Dave Bergman, Lou Whitaker, Alan Trammell, Tommy Brookins on the infield. Larry Herndon, Chet Lemon, and Kirk Gibson in the outfield. Comebacker knocked down by Morris, and he's got 1 out to go. And he takes a little walk, and you can understand it. He doesn't want to do anything in a hurry. A good thing he flagged it. That ball might have found its way up the middle. Morris is 6'3", and here is Greg Luzinski. Wide to center, hit into a double play and walk. 1 out away from a no-hitter. Ball 1. Boy, you talk about the loneliness of a long-distance runner. How about the loneliness of a man on a mound? 1 out away from a no-hitter. And he's pressing a little bit. 2-0, trying to get a little something extra. Pitching beyond himself now. 2-0 the count. They are standing in the lower deck all around from first to third. Ground foul outside of third. And the count 2-1. Jack Morris, 28 years old. He'll be 29 in May. 6'3", 200-pounder, a professional since 1976. And he's been with Detroit since 1977. 2-1. And now he is 1 strike away. And the tension becomes somewhat excruciating even in the dugout. Deuce is wild. Check swing foul. Remember, it was Luzinski with the bases loaded and nobody out in the 4th inning. Had a check swing comeback at Morris, and Jack got a double play started at the plate. He's checking the count. The count is 2-2, and the scoreboard had to be corrected. 2 balls, 2 strikes. 2 out, 9th inning. Jack Morris, a pitch away from a no-hitter, maybe. And he falls down. He was trying so hard. He is not pitching right now. He's throwing. The emotion has gotten to him. Who can blame him? Derwood Merrill examining the ball, and Sparky Anderson, eyes riveted on his pitcher. After Luzinski is Ron Kittle. Two. Ball 4, and the Tigers thought surely it was strike 3, but they might have been looking at the pitch with their hearts instead of their eyes. Watch it again. Parrish thought surely that was the game. Watch Morris. Can't believe it. But believe it he must now, as he walks his 6th batter. He has walked 6, struck out 7. Ron Kittle has popped up, struck out, flied to right, and we will have a runner coming into the game. It'll be Dave Stegman running for Luzinski. Kittle struck out with the tying runs at 2nd and 3rd, and 2 out in the 4th inning. Infield back, outfield very deep and straight away. Ball 1. The only time it appeared as if Morris was really tasting the no-hitter was when he was pitching to Luzinski, trying too hard. 1-0 to Kittle. That was a great pitch because he took something off it, and Kittle was anxious, and the change was perfectly executed. 1 ball, 1 strike. 2 out, Stegman at first, running for Luzinski. 1-1. Fastball fouled away. So after the change, he came back, and again, 1 pitch. He had a 2-2 to Luzinski, and then walked him. And he is 1-2 to Kittle. Got him swinging, and he has his no-hitter.
Magna from Honda. Own one and you own the road.
Hey, here he comes, Tiny. Yes, here he is, ladies and gentlemen. The up-and-coming...
1 inch farther. That's how far he wants to throw it today. And tomorrow, an inch farther than that. Because he's got a dream that says someday he's going to throw that 16-pound piece of iron farther than any other man in the summer games. In the past, it probably would have been just a dream. But today, he just might become as good as he believes he can be. Because today, he can go to the U.S. Olympic Training Center in Colorado Springs. And maybe on a summer day in 1984, he'll go up against the best in the world, and he'll throw it 1 inch farther. This American dream was brought to you by Miller High Life, the sponsor of the U.S. Olympic Training Center.
Well, we have the man of the hour standing right here, Jack Morris. Jack, congratulations. When did you know you had it going?
Well, I don't think I've ever been through the 5th inning before without giving up a hit, and I think after the 5th inning, I sort of realized what was going on.
Did somebody tell you, or did you realize it yourself?
I looked up there. I do that now and then.
Pitching to Luzinski, you backed off the mound before you started going. Were you sizing up the situation?
Well, I knew I had 2 strikes on him, and I just wanted to give him whatever I had left, and I just went after him, and close pitch there, 3-2, but it was probably a ball.
On the 2-2 pitch, you fell. You fell right to the ground. Did you taste it so much you overthrew it?
I probably did. I think I rushed my fork ball there.
What did you think was your best pitch today?
Well, everything I do revolves around my fastball. The fork ball was real good today, and I had a pretty good slider.
Is it a fork ball or a split-fingered fastball, as Roger calls it?
You call it whatever you want. It gets the job done sometimes, and I'm really happy about it.
You really didn't have any tough plays except at first base, the one. Did you think that you had a loss at any time when the ball was hit?
Well, I think the turning point of the ball game is when I had bases loaded and nobody else there, back early part of the game, and I got the ground the ball back to me and forced the double play. I think that was the biggest point of the game.
Has it sunk in yet what you've done?
Not really. I'm so excited right now I can hardly talk.
Congratulations, Jack Morris. Jack Morris pitches a no-hitter, and what a way to open this season. We'll be right back after this message.
There's more for your life. Getting big, growing tall. Need more, Kenmore, that's not all. There's more for your life at Sears. And then some. Need more help, Craftsman's there. Need more room and more to wear. It's time to expand. We'll give you a hand. There's more for your life. More for your life at Sears.
To the millions who use paint remover on varnished furniture, I have some advice. Stop immediately.
But I've always used it. Use Formby's furniture refinisher. Some paint removers raise the grain and strip the wood's beauty, and it's hard work. Formby's easily dissolves old varnish, lacquer, and shellac. No sanding, no scraping. With Formby's furniture refinisher, the wood's beauty actually reappears.
Homer Formby. No one knows wood as good.
Get started now with a $1.50 rebate on specially marked Formby kits.
Welcome
You've turned the city over to the next shift. The rest of the night is yours.
to Miller Time.
Now comes your time with the best beer you can find, Miller High Life.
Bring your thirsty self right here. You've got the time. We've got the beer for what you have in mind. Welcome to Miller Time.
The line score tells the story, particularly the blinking 0 under the H column for the Chicago White Sox. Jack Morris pitching his no-hitter. It was challenged a couple of times, notably in the 8th inning, and an excellent defensive play by Dave Bergman bailed him out. Home run by Chet Lemon. next week, we will see you in Yankee Stadium where Tom Seaver goes back to New York. What a story. Don't forget the third round of Dinah Shore. For Joe Garagiola, Vin Scully, wishing you a pleasant good afternoon.
A promotional fee has been paid to